for you, you dirty Republican. Yeah,
And
that
they
would
would
be
do
good.
that. Trust me.
That would be good.
They would kick out a starving Republican and their small children.
Ed Burke. You want
Ed Burke.
Ed Burke.
Ed Burke burgers. No.
Yeah, no burgers.
Flipping for a good time.
Well, because he likes to shake down, allegedly, Burger Kings.
Oh, that's. You know what? See, I'm smart. I don't even know.
Yeah. So you get rid of the private sector fast food chains, burger
Mike
joints.
Madigan's meat packing company. No, Mike Madigan.
No, Madigan's
Madigan's
farm stand, because he just liked to eat like apples.
Yeah.
He just eats apples. That's why he's like this little trollish
That's
figure.
what he did.
Just skinny little.
Do you know that man never had a cell phone?
Yeah, exactly. It's a face-to-face business, just like Tony
No
Soprano
emails
said.
and no cell phones. That's how he got away with it as long as he did.
That's one of the ways he got away with it as long as he did. Chris on 65, I-65.
Yeah, I think it's cute that you guys think you're going to be able to pick what kind of food you eat. I'm going to call the restaurant Crickets because you're going to be eating that insect puree. And if you complain about it, I don't want to hear about it. I just want to hear crickets.
I like
Hey!
it. Thanks for the call.
Crickets on the crickets is what the sign will say.
Yeah, crickets.
Crickets.
You probably get like a WEF grant, Klaus Schwab. Would you like to sit in the Klaus Schwab booth at Crickets? I like that.
Klaus Schwab booth.
Tony in Downers Grove.
Okay, Dan. I talked about this a little bit last week. Well, Karen's half right, so are some of the other people. Currently, if you're a tipped employee, with the owners you have to ensure that people make the minimum wage. So if the minimum wage is $15 an hour, a tipped employee works 40 hours. If they don't make $15 an hour, the owner has to supplement that.
Right.
Ugh.
Right, but everybody
Right.
does. Right.
Right. Well, that never used to be like that. It's only been the last several years. Now, for those who say they don't want to tip when this new law passes, it's ridiculous because most tipped employees in good restaurants make way above $15 an hour.
Of course.
Especially in good restaurants.
Of course.
But like people are saying, it's going to hurt the independents. It's going to hurt the independents because the independents, a net profit is typically 7 to 10%. That's their net profit. Mm-hmm. This is going to dig into that along with the other cost.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure where this is going to go, but we're going to find out. But it is going to hurt the independents. And just like the gentleman with the hot dog stand, think about it. His employees aren't really getting tipped, but the minimum wage at $15 an hour, if you were paying $10 an hour, simple math, you're adding $5 more an hour. Take 100 hours. I mean, that's $500 a month. That's a big cut into a small independent restaurant or quick service restaurant.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Not sure where this is going.
Well, we know it's not going to be good. I mean, there's no scenario in which the government arbitrarily setting wages or prices.
Right.
There's no scenario in which that ends well. I mean, it's
our favorite. Right, and our favorite person, Sam Toya, is a shill.
Of course.
For Pritzker. I'm sorry, he does nothing. He
Yes.
does nothing for the Illinois Restaurant Association.
Yeah.
Oh,
Anyway,
he lives
thanks,
in
Dan.
fear.
Thank you, Tony. Yeah.
He
Well-
lives in fear of the government. Like, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am.
At 6:06, we're gonna. I mean, who this benefits is not that they're proponents of it, but some probably are. It's the big restaurant groups, of course it does. This means nothing to Capitol Grill, and it means a lot to the neighborhood joint. But that's the whole point of regulation, and we're going to do a little tutorial on regulatory capture at 6:00 hour. But anyway, Ralph and Rantoul. By the way, Ralph and Rantoul, do you have to
Yes.
give credit where credit's due?
Please.
He is. I assume at some point you'll get some sort of commendation or key to the city, but he is the winner of the city-owned grocery chain, forthcoming city-owned grocery chain.
And it is?
Give me that.
Give me that. Yeah.
Give me that.
All one word. Give me that.
Yeah.
GIMMEDAT. Give me that.
Love it.
Maybe with an exclamation point. But who needs punctuation in a land of post-English everything?
Yeah, let's go
So,
E. Cummings on that. Yeah. Where's so are you got a restaurant, you got a concept, you got a name?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because input costs don't mean anything to these morons. There will be no sit-down restaurants. So the name and the concept is going to be called Shrimps, and we got to have the S, Shrimps. Everything strictly deep fried, takeaway only. Maybe one plastic bench inside so you can wait while your order gets bagged. Nasty glaring lights inside, air freshener that smells like professional insecticide, and plenty of room outside to fight and shoot at each other.
Wow.
Is that shrimps with an S or with a Z?
No, it's got, well, with an S or a Z. I think it's an S because that's mostly the way I've heard it pronounced in shrimps. Get some shrimps.
Thanks for that, Ralph. I appreciate it. Ralph, I think, needs to be tapped to be the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer of the BLM Branded Restaurant Group.
Oh, they'll get along great.
Nate, Schiller Park.
Yeah, hey, so real quick comment. So my ex-wife is from Russia, and she grew up during communism. Here's what she told me. This is exactly what Sydney
How'd you two meet?
She used, well,
Mail
I was
ordered?
in the military. No, I met her while I was in the military stationed overseas.
All
But,
right.
so she used to tell me in order to go get bread, she would have to go up real early in the morning. Her mom would send her, and she would stand in line for 3 or 4 hours so she could get bread. So instead of having a restaurant, you just have one item that they're selling, and you got to wait forever to get it.
All right.
That's not bad. All right, thanks for the call, Nate. I like that. There's something there. Like who would we want to honor with like the breadline concept? I just worry if it may put like Ganella, Panera out of business. But hey, you know, yeah, who do you want to honor breadline concept? Yeah.
Andrea Vasquez.
Yeah, I mean, sure, he's
he's
another
too busy,
socialist. Sure.
Putting tents up in every ward but his own. Do you know there's not one shelter in his ward?
What
And
about?
he's in charge?
Oh
of
no,
the
I like.
immigration crisis.
What about that socialist that hates Italians?
Oh,
That's that chick. That
oh,
socialist
oh.
chick who hates Italians. We want to honor her. George in Naperville.
How about Brandon's dry dung buffalo chips?
Say that, but Brandon's what?
Brandon's dry dung buffalo chips.
All right, thanks for the call, George. All right, we'll continue to workshop this. Names, restaurant names, and concepts for the BLM Brandon Restaurant Group, city-owned restaurant group, to complement the city-owned grocery stores that should be coming in the not too distant future. But at 6:06, as I mentioned, it just dovetails perfectly.
Alderman Rosanna Rodriguez.
That's
she
her.
should be in charge of the Italian restaurants.
That's her. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, that'll go over well.
Yeah.
Oof.
All right. So 6:06. Billionaire venture capitalist Bill Gurley gives a 101 on regulatory capture. 6:06.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
A family of 4 found shot to death in Romeoville. Chicago could soon abolish a sub-minimum wage for tipped workers. And WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
They've come home. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The 5 Americans set free from Iran landed in the U.S. this morning.
This exchange, it originally happened yesterday in Qatar. That's where the U.S. handed over 2 prisoners as well and $6 billion in unfrozen oil assets back to Iran. Their president, who will also address the General Assembly today, has vowed that the country will only use that cash for humanitarian purposes. Many feel the U.S. has reason to be distrustful of that.
It's Fox's Alexandria Hoff. She referenced the UN General Assembly. President Biden will also address world leaders this morning, and so will Ukraine's President Zelensky. 2 countries are in a deadly dispute, Canada and India. Both have expelled each other's top diplomats.
The Indian government says it's absurd to suggest it had something to do with the death of Hardeep Singh Nijjar. The Sikh independence campaigner was shot dead in Canada in June. Yesterday, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said there were credible allegations the Indian state was involved.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. Congress has just 12 days left to agree on some sort of budget to avert a partial government shutdown, but House Republicans are having a hard time uniting around a plan for 30 days of spending. Congressman Matt Rosendale just told Fox,
I will not support any continuing resolution. That is merely an extension of Nancy Pelosi's spending and Joe Biden's policies that we voted against.
That is frustrating his GOP colleague Chip Roy.
You are walking away from the most important issue that we're dealing with right now for the people that we represent.
No, even if they end up uniting on that plan, it's unlikely to pass in the Democratic-controlled Senate. More auto workers may join the picket lines. The UAW has set a Friday deadline. Without progress in talks by then, they'll expand the strike beyond the first 3 plants.
We don't want to hurt the economy. We don't want to be here not getting paid peanuts. But, it's our fight. It's a fight for our life.
Stephen Summers is one of the workers who walked off the job at a Ford plant in Michigan. America's listening to Fox News.
57 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Clouds and rain on this Tuesday morning as an investigation continues after a family of 4 was found dead in Romeoville.
Preliminary investigation leads police to believe this happened between 9 p.m. on Saturday and 5 a.m. on Sunday morning.
Deputy Chief of Police Chris Byrne says Roberto Roland and Zoraida Bartolome and 2 children were discovered shot to death Sunday night inside of a home in the 500 block of Concord Avenue, and neighbors are worried.
This is devastating to me. I mean, I've been crying on and off all day.
Authorities are investigating the deaths as a murder, adding that they don't believe any of the victims were involved in a murder-suicide. Former NFL player believed to be missing after his mother was found dead over the weekend in Maywood has apparently surfaced online.
Fake news. It has to be the FBI that came into my house on Bob Marley's death day with the 511 Agent gas, unwarranted.
The voice of Sergio Brown on Instagram. The investigation began when Maywood police received a report about the disappearance of Myrtle Brown and her son Sergio. Brown made accusations against Maywood police and the FBI. Police are not labeling him as a suspect in his mother's murder at this time. The president of the Illinois Fraternal Order of Police isn't blaming police officers for taking up Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' offer to move to the Sunshine State for a $5,000 bonus. Illinois FOP President Chris Southwood tells us he doesn't blame officers wanting to move. As he says, it seems Illinois politicians care for criminals more than law-abiding citizens and police.
With the Safety Act and now the no-cash bail, and you look what's going on in Chicago. Look what just happened this weekend with the Chicago officers being, one of the officers in particular, being brutally beaten by an illegal immigrant.
Florida has spent $15 million on the national recruitment effort so far. House Democrats in Illinois are dropping a Washington, D.C. public relations firm under fire for working with former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan. Madigan hired SKDK for guidance in 2018 as his office faced sexual harassment allegations. At the same time, the firm was providing support to a former Madigan campaign worker accusing Madigan of retaliating against her. Sox over the Nationals 6-1. Cubs take on the Pirates tonight. Monday Night Football. Saints over the Panthers. And the Steelers beat the Browns. The news a service of Townstone Financial. Townstone can help you purchase a home faster and almost as easy as typing TOWNSTONE.com or by calling 312-896-2110. Illinois Mortgage Licensee 6629 NMLS 136639. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Still too high. And AM 560 and the Pride Stores want to help ease your pain at the pump. Every Thursday morning in September, we're giving away $50 gift cards from the Pride Stores to the first 56 customers who pump at least 5 gallons of gas between 7 and 8 a.m. at a specially selected location. To find out where, listen to Chicago's Morning Answer at 6:30 a.m. on Thursday morning. Then show up, fill up, and you could win a $50 gift card courtesy of the Pride Stores at AM 560. The Answer.
Are you looking for fair news coverage out of the nation's capital? Join the Center Square's Editor-in-Chief Dan McCaleb and DC Bureau Chief Casey Harper as they discuss all things coming out of Washington, D.C.
And as you said, I did a fact check on this because I really found it pretty misleading. Gas prices, yes, are down. But if you look at food prices, they increased.
No spin, just the news. Listen to the America in Focus podcast at americastalking.com or wherever you get your podcast.
What's the best way to stop Joe Biden's agenda? No, it's not voting Republican. A better option is to vote with your wallet. Democrats get easy votes by giving away newly printed money, but we can fight this never-ending scam by making use of physical gold. I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and this is why I recommend a physical gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group. These special accounts allow you to preserve your retirement and help the country at the same time. Plus, you pay zero penalties or taxes on the transfer. To learn more, text the word PROTECT to 989898, and my friends at Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold IRA company I trust, so text PROTECT to 989898 to request your free info kit right now.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
Friends, listen up. September is the perfect time to hit the reset button and set new goals. Why? It's National Self-Improvement Month. Think of it as an annual personal checkup. Maybe you want to volunteer, adopt, or start an exercise routine, read a book, or improve your overall health. I have a suggestion for you. 120 Life. 120 Life is my go-to juice that helps lower and control my blood pressure. I drink it every day. I can't stop raving about it. It's packed with 6 natural ingredients that have amazing health benefits like pomegranate, hibiscus, beetroot, and tart cherry, just to name a few. 120 Life tastes refreshing, especially poured over ice or in the Ninja. Go to 120LIFE, use coupon code LIBERTY to save 15% on your order plus free shipping. And here's an added bonus. You can earn customer reward points with every order. Points that you can collect and redeem for a discount up to $50. Check it out at 120life.com. Use coupon code LIBERTY at checkout and tell them Sean Thompson sent you.
6:08, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And the inbound Eden's already at 21 Lake Cook Road to the junction, while the Kennedy sits at a half hour. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. 40 minutes in on the Ike from 390 to the old post office. Stevenson 38 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan 20 minutes inbound 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Reagan Memorial slows up eastbound right at York Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Cloudy skies today, rain, and the high at 68. It'll be partly cloudy, shower in spots tonight, low 60. And then partly sunny for tomorrow, the high at 82. Partly sunny, nice day on Thursday, the high Thursday at 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
60 at O'Hare and along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Alpha Wealth Group, bringing the trilogy of estate, tax, and investment planning together. Visit alphawealthgroup.com for a free report.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. One more in our effort to help BLM Brandon with his forthcoming city-owned restaurant group. Different concepts and offerings. Text from 60. Brandon Slop House. We source all our provisions from city-owned grocery stores. That's the state's version of farm to table.
Yeah, I got it.
I like that.
Farm
I like
to
that
table.
concept a lot.
dumbest thing. You're eating fresh food because we say it's farm to table.
Right.
Every restaurant's farm to table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but city-owned grocery store to table.
Yeah, it's a new thing. Okay.
We source all of our provisions at Brandon Slophouse from Gimme Dat grocery stores. Employees make $50 an hour, and there's one entree to choose from. Perfect. Yeah, I like that. That's good. Which leads us to this really good talk that Bill Gurley, who is a billionaire venture capitalist, gave before the All In podcast crew. The All In podcast is these other sort of very wealthy venture capitalists and tech entrepreneurs, David Sachs, David Friedberg, others. It's their work product, this All In podcast. And so it's not just an interview that they give people like a Bill Gurley the stage to give a 20-minute chat on something. And his chat on a recent episode of that podcast was about agency capture. It was a good tutorial. And he gave some really good concrete examples of the not too distant past, like COVID, to drive this point home. It's something that people need to understand. We've talked about on this show before because this is a basic economic concept, and you see it play out all of the time. But still, here we are talking about AI or crypto, and you have people like Sam Bankman-Fried running, and what's his name, Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, running to the government saying, regulate us. Mark Zuckerberg and social media CEOs running to the government saying, regulate us.
Please, please.
These AEI impresarios, not AEI, AI impresarios. Kamala Harris, if you don't know what artificial intelligence is, Kamala Harris will be happy to explain it to you. But like Sam Altman at OpenAI, running to the government saying, please regulate us. Why? And isn't that great? And we have people on both sides in both parties coming together, which is always wonderful when Republicans and Democrats agree to serve the interests of the big guys and crowd out competition, which is what most of these, if not all, really, most of what regulation does. It's always couched in protecting you. We're looking out for you on Main Street. We're going to protect you. We're going to provide opportunity for you. We're going to go get those big bad behemoths, the corporate titans. That's who we're going to take to task on your behalf. And it's exactly the opposite. It's 180 degrees from the truth. So Gurley starts with his crash course in interacting with government. And, you know, I don't, there's some things about what he said that I have some issues with, and this is one of them. But nonetheless, a lot of people do enter the business arena rather naive about government. And Gurley, to believe him, is one of those who did when he started in the VC business.
You know, first year of my career, I had zero interest in interacting with any form of government. It didn't seem necessary for what I was trying to do. I was working with founders and software and technology. I didn't see what it would bring me. Until one day where I ran into an issue, which I'll tell you about later, that required me to understand what was going on in Washington. So I checked in with a few advisors. They introduced me to this lawyer in D.C. Turns out D.C. lawyers do a lot of things that aren't lawyering. And he listened to what I have. He said, I'll call you back. He calls me back. He says, Bill, I got exactly what you need. I found a congressman on the committee that matters to what you're talking about, and I can set up a meeting. I go, great, I'll fly out. He goes, no, don't fly out. He's coming to you. I go, he's coming to me? That's pretty nice. He goes, do you have a conference room? I said, I'm a venture capitalist. We have lots of conference rooms. So he said, I need you to get some people together, and here's the catch. They need to bring $5,000 each. Hung up the phone. Started thinking, all right, I got 6 people. We got board members, CEO, $5,000, $30,000. He called me back next week. How's it going? Great, I got 6 people, $5,000 ready to go. He goes, most of these meetings have 10 to 12 people. I said, shit. Like now I'm inviting people that don't even have anything to do with this thing and like having to help them out. I'm up to $60K, I hang up. He called me back a week later. He goes, Bill, how's it going? I go, oh, shit, I got 12 people. You know, everybody's got a check. We're ready to go. I'm losing interest at this point. He goes, do they have spouses? I'm like, what kind of question is this? Do they have spouses? He goes, yeah, let's have their spouses write $5,000 each. I go, our conference room's not big enough for the spouses. He goes, they don't have to come. This is a true story, by the way. True story. And it would go on to happen 2 more times in my life, and then I stopped meeting with congressmen.
Well, he had to meet with congressmen, or he chose to, because he was getting into the Wi-Fi business at the time, this investment he made in Tropos Networks, which he explains, and this is one of the wonderful real-world examples of how regulatory capture works and who it serves. And it's not the entrepreneur. It's not the disruptive innovator.
VC investment was in a company called Tropos Networks. We had industrial-grade mesh Wi-Fi. You could mount it on a telephone pole and bathe the city in Wi-Fi, broadband. It was awesome. We were so excited about it. We were changing the world. It was disruptive. Google got excited about it. Earthlink got excited about it. But the customer I loved the most that got excited about it were mayors. There are hundreds of mayors all over the country that wanted to provide free Wi-Fi service across their downtown area. It would help with public safety, economic development, and of course, digital divide. So we were so thrilled. I was so pumped. I was sure we had a winner here. And then one day, these 2 people got excited, which turned out not to be a good thing. This is Mayor Street of Philadelphia and his CIO, Diana Neff. They got just as excited as I did. They were idealistic. They were, optimistic. Maybe they were quixotic. Maybe I was too. Because the next thing that happened is what caused me to get that meeting. You can't read this, but it says, lobbyists try to kill Philly wireless plan. And in the article it says, Philly's plan to offer an inexpensive wireless internet service, the most ambitious yet, collided with commercial interest. Collided with commercial interest. There were no voters or citizens up in arms about this. Commercial interest.
Right, and the commercial interests in Philly were the big boys, Verizon, Comcast, and those Washington fixers in their employ, and the politicians they own. Ed Rendell at the time, the mayor of Philadelphia, went on to be governor. Michael Nutter, who succeeded Ed Rendell as mayor of Philadelphia.
Philadelphia was embarking on the research phase of the project when Verizon successfully pushed a bill through the state legislature. Verizon's writing legislation? How does that work? Now, it turns out this wasn't even our biggest problem because another company's headquartered in Philadelphia named Comcast. They had put a bill on Governor Rendell's desk, proposal drafted by lobbyists for the telecommunications companies. This isn't what I learned on Schoolhouse Rock. The governor whose bill that was on the desk of is Ed Rendell. He's on the right. Before he was governor, he was mayor of Philadelphia. The gentleman in the middle is named Michael Nutter. He would go on to replace Street and was a longtime council member. But the guy on the left was the real nemesis. This is David Cohen, chief lobbyist for Comcast. Now, David Cohen is to corporate lobbying what Bob Marley is to reggae. He's like, there's no second. The New York Times did a profile of him called Comcast Real Repairman, in which they say he's the most important executive in the whole company, and I fundamentally believe that.
Yeah, the Jack Abramoff of his day in a different sector. And so?
AT&T would join this fight. Within 2 years, they would outlaw municipal broadband in over 22 states. They just write it into the books and just took the power of these local decision makers away from them, all in the interest of the commercial interest, not the citizen.
So that's gone. That's done. He's out. Now there's a couple of things there. One, it's gosh, for a smart guy as Bill Gurley is, it's a little difficult to believe he was that naive about getting into a business where governments were going to be your customers. It's also a bit of a misunderstanding to pretend that the local officials are these do-gooders that are altruistically oriented, but they get the corporate interests come over the top, and the politicians they own at the citywide or statewide or the federal level. But the municipal officials are incorruptible. That's obviously not the case. So there's a bit of naivete, sort of surprising naivete about politics and government and regulation. I mean, I assume Bill Gurley's familiar with Michael Porter's 5 Forces and so forth. So it's to me, maybe it's a little bit canned. I don't know. I guess, if you're just a VC guy or just a tech nerd and you're just zero focused on what you're doing, you may not have and you may believe Schoolhouse Rock, and you may be that naive about things. But he certainly was disabused of his naivete rather quickly. Give you another example of this. And by the way, he goes on to talk about the Telecom Act of 1996 as well, signed by Bill Clinton, was supposed to increase competition in the telecom sector. And it eliminated all VC activity in telecom. Eliminated it. 15% of VC capital was being deployed in telecom at the time. 1996 Telecom Act signed into law. Industry sector concentration increases. The biggest players go from having 45% of market share to 85% of market share, and the barriers to entry were so high that there was no market opportunity, so VC money left the sector. And it was touted as this is to increase competition, a complete 180. He cites George Stigler here, who's won a Nobel Prize on the topic of regulatory capture, private interests capturing the agencies that are ostensibly charged with regulating them, or the sector in which they operate, and whose interests really get served, who the winners and losers are. And the winners are always the big guys. And they gave another example. Think about banks after the 08-09 crash and Dodd-Frank. Number of new banks, 0 in the aftermath of that. So the Dodd-Frank regulation that was going to protect Americans, prevent another increased competition, it just led to concentration in that sector too. Erected higher barriers to entry, more deferential to central planning and the central planners, and collaborative. Love that word. Big government and big banking, big government and big telecom. Colluding is probably a better description. Give you another example. It's a really good talk. I recommend, I'll tweet it out or retweet it from the All In podcast. People should listen to this. And if you have kids in school, I mean, again, this is a great Econ 101 tutorial that Bill Gurley provides. COVID. The story of COVID antigen tests. Yeah, remember the COVID antigen tests?
Yeah, the antigen test, yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, here's how it went down in this country as compared to some of our Western allies. But just, again, a look at what regulation does. It is to protect, not to enhance competition. To protect incumbents, not to enhance the presence of competitors. And it's also to send more people that go through that revolving door from government to private or from private to government, to send them to allow them to increase their power and increase their net worth. The revolving door is a big story here too, and it plays a particular role in this story of COVID antigen tests.
This is a COVID rapid antigen test. Now, this is based on a very simple piece of technology. Hopefully, David will confirm this when he comes back up, called a lateral flow assay. Now, This technology was developed 80 years ago in 1943, and it's a complete commodity. The packaging almost doesn't matter. You could probably use the strip without it. Now, before I tell you what happened in the U.S., let me tell you what happened in Europe. Germany leaned heavily into rapid tests. They got their scientists together, and they evaluated 122 different vendors and validated 96 of them. Here they are on the right, 96 different vendors that they okayed. And as a result, in the German market, you could buy 5 tests for 3.75 or 75 euro cents a test. UK leaned in as well. They got them in such numbers and so cheap, they distributed them to people's homes. So what was going on in the U.S.? Around that time, the New York Times did a article like, here's what's going on with antigen tests. First of all, they fought them forever, and I think that may be captured as well because the hospitals were making a ton of money on PCR tests. I think they made as much money as they did on vaccines, but that's another story. Here, it says all the manufacturings are ramping up production, but right now they're hard to find. And then it lists which tests are available, and they only list 3 vendors, Abbott, Elumi, and Quidel. 3 vendors. Now, you can play along on your phone if you want to go on LinkedIn. This guy's name is Timothy Stenzel. Now, he works for the FDA, and he runs the group that oversees which antigen test gets approved. I know this because he would write scathing letters to the ones he rejected that you can also look up online. Now, guess what? You're not going to be surprised. 5 years at Quidel, 4 years at Abbott. It gets worse. President Biden decided finally to lean into antigen tests and authorized $2 billion to go purchase tests. He should have gone to Germany and bought them out of the stores, but instead, but instead he bought them from these guys. Now, I don't know if you've ever used this test. All that packaging is complete and utter bullshit and unnecessary. That popsicle stick thing, like everyone else uses the lateral flow assay plastic thing that you can buy super cheap. This was over-engineered. And then I got really pissed because the Wall Street Journal wrote an article that was a victory lap for Abbott's antigen test execution and how well they did in the market. And I've never met Brianna or Peter, but I hope they get to watch this because the first thing they should have done in the article was put a big picture of Timothy Stenzel because that's why this thing worked. And they write the eye-catching card on a lollipop stick as if, oh, it was so cute, everyone bought it. Like, if you tried to sell that thing in Germany, how many would sell? 0. Like at $12 a test. Yesterday, just for kicks, I went online. This is Walgreens and CVS antigen tests. There's 7 tests. They're all exactly $23.99. What is that? That's not a marketplace. That's not open competition. I also went on Boots, the famous UK. The tests are about $1.50, $1.60 per today. So you have a 6x differential in these tests today. And by the way, I'm not even talking about the fact that our citizenry may have been, much enhanced by having rapid tests at a much lower price if they were treated as the commodity they were. Of course, they weren't.
Mm-hmm. All of those do-gooders, public health professionals, the pharma companies, the politicians that served as their mouthpieces, all that they were doing for you, standing up, testing, and so on and so forth, all to your benefit. And this is what was actually going on. You want to talk about war profiteering? Sanctioned by the state, because that's the only way it happens. Really something. Which is why you should beware of the quote-unquote capitalist or free enterprise type who is seeking out regulation. This is what gives free enterprise a bad name.
You've seen these charts of price, across time. And the highly competitive products coming out of Silicon Valley are dropping like crazy. It's healthcare and education and those kind of things where you have price increases.
Yeah, where government is the primary mover.
Technology, commerce, and the sharing of ideas leads to prosperity for people, leads to increases in standard of living. And my big fear is that regulation is the opposite of this. It's a blocker to innovation. So if you care about prosperity and you kill innovation, you're going to kill prosperity, from my point of view.
Do go watch that entire Bill Gurley talk. As I told you, I'll tweet that out as well. Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit at 7 o'clock hour with Christopher Whalen, too. Coming up at 6:36, another installment of Why Dan Prof to Single, a case study from Congress, one Congresswoman named Lauren Boebert, 6:36.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Smith.
Clouds and rain on the way, 57 degrees. At 6:31, 5 Americans who were imprisoned in Iran are back on U.S. soil, touching down this morning in Virginia.
The freedom of these Americans, for so long unjustly imprisoned and detained in Iran, means some pretty basic things. It means that husbands and wives, fathers and children, grandparents can hug each other again.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. The Biden administration agreed to the $6 billion deal in exchange also for a group of Iranian nationals held in the U.S. The Marine Corps is suspending flights for 2 days after an F-35 fighter jet disappeared for hours after a pilot ejected over South Carolina Sunday.
Debris from the plane was eventually found around 100 miles north of Charleston, but the incident has raised questions about how the military could lose a multi-million-dollar fighter jet. A spokesperson from Joint Base Charleston, where the aircraft was based, said the plane's transponder wasn't working for an as-yet undetermined reason, making it nearly impossible to track. The pilot was taken to a local medical facility in stable condition. I'm Michael Kastner.
The UAW strike against the big 3 U.S. automakers enters day 5.
Noon on Friday, September 22nd, is a new deadline. Either the big 3 get down to business and work with us to make progress in negotiations, or more locals will be called on to stand up and go out on strike.
The UAW Sean Fain. Canada this morning expels a top Indian diplomat as it investigates what Prime Minister Justin Trudeau called credible allegations of ties to the assassination of a Sikh activist in Canada. India's government rejected the accusation as absurd, Trudeau saying Canadian intelligence agencies have been looking into the allegations after Sikh leader Hardeep Nijjar was gunned down in British Columbia in June. An investigation continues after a family of 4 was found dead in Romeoville. Deputy Chief of Police Chris Byrne says Roberto Roland and Zoraida Bartolome and their 2 children were discovered shot to death on Sunday night.
Preliminary investigation leads police to believe this happened between 9 p.m. on Saturday and 5 a.m. on Sunday morning.
And authorities are investigating the deaths as a murder, not a murder-suicide. Chicago could soon abolish a sub-minimum wage for tipped workers. Mayor Brandon Johnson and the Illinois Restaurant Association have agreed to a plan for the city of Chicago to phase out the lower minimum wage for tipped workers over the next 5 years. The new ordinance set for a preliminary vote in a city council committee as soon as tomorrow. A 24-year-old woman is accused of battering 4 Chicago police officers in the Loop Sunday morning. It occurred in the 200 block of North Wabash around 3 a.m. as Merelda Aguiar of Cicero faces 4 felony counts of aggravated battery. White Sox beat the Nationals 6-1. Cubs and Pirates tonight. The news a service of the Barbecue Authority, your go-to for the largest selection of grill, smokers, and outdoor products. Visit the Lyle showroom or online at bbqauthority.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka wants the GOP to step up.
I don't want another bloody press conference. I don't want another letter to the DOJ. Get busy. Start strangling the FBI and the DOJ with the control of the purse that you have. Yeah, you may not have the White House, or we may not have the Senate, but you've got the power of the purse. Strangle them financially.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm telling you, I'll be 74 in May, and I can't tell you how good I feel. I'm telling you, have my sister on it and her husband and so many different people.
It's just what the advertisements say, which is you get more energy. It really is a balance that the body needs, because if you just take regular people's diet, there's no way that they get the amount of servings of vegetables and fruits that they need. And so what this does, it assures that you are getting that. It really is. It's a beautiful name, Balance of Nature. And I tell everybody about it. When you got other people recommending it, it's a big thing.
Happy National Fruits and Veggies Month. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer today to receive $35 off your first order. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Greetings, friends. Sebastian Gorka here. You've probably been hearing my colleagues and I talking about investing with Y-Refi for a while. You may have some questions. So let's review. It's true, you can earn up to 10.25% fixed rate of return. That's not correlated to the stock market or the Fed. You can turn your income on or off, compound it, whatever you choose, and there are absolutely no fees. There is no attack on principle if you ever need your money back, and you'll get your monthly statement with no surprises. Just go to investyrefi.com. That's invest, the letter Y, then REFY.com, or call 888-YREFI24. Friends, this is a solid investment that actually helps people. Just go to investyrefi.com or call 888-YREFI24 and tell them Dr. G sent you.
6:37. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Staples stores and a full range of HP printers. America's most trusted printer brand, and right now, Staples dropping prices on their entire selection of HP printers, with select models starting as low as $69.99. See staples.com/HP for details. Upgrade to HP at Staples. Eden's inbound 27 Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy settling in at 45 O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Dan Ryan in 25 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. I-57 and the Bishop Ford. Tough sledding, stop-and-go traffic into the Ryan merge. Reagan is right now slow eastbound between 22nd and the Tri-State. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Clouds and showers. High 68. Low of 60 overnight. 82 tomorrow, 80 on Thursday, and 81 on Friday. 60 at O'Hare. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, roasted fresh daily in Batavia, Illinois. Online at papanicholas.com.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Time now for another reason why Dan Proft is single.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. A congressional edition of Why Dan Proft is Single in the form of conservative Republican Lauren Boebert from Colorado. So she's going through a divorce, and she was taking in a performance of Beetlejuice at some theater in Colorado. And, of course, you've probably heard the news by now. She got into some sort of back and forth with the ushers about her behavior, her and her date's behavior.
Well, they were all over each other. I mean, get a room.
And
My
then,
goodness.
And then the security camera footage made its way into the public domain. Funny how that happens. That shows them sort of groping one another, and then her taking a picture with her flash on and vaping inside, and then they're asked to leave, and so on and so forth. And
not becoming of a congresswoman.
And so, yeah, she's taken some heat for it. So she went on OAN yesterday, and this is how that exchange between her and this more than sympathetic host of OAN went.
We just had Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, announce an impeachment inquiry yesterday. We're facing a government shutdown and trying to fund the federal government. We have a wide open southern border. We have Zelensky threatening to send refugees here. And what's the top story? Lauren Boebert getting kicked out of the Buell Theater in Denver, Colorado.
It's what the media does. It's what the media does. So
yes,
what went down?
I was a little too eccentric. I'm very known for having a animated personality, maybe overtly animated personality. I was laughing, I was singing, having a fantastic time. Was told to kind of settle it down a little bit, which I did. But then my next slip up was taking a picture of
you can't take any images of the play. I've done it too. I've snuck them. Right. So you got thrown out because you took a pic and you weren't supposed to. But you know what? Here's my whole thing.
There was no arguing. There's reports saying that I was arguing, threatening to call the Denver mayor. I don't know why I would ever call the Denver mayor. I think he would have tried to lock me up.
Yeah.
There's reports saying I was on the board of something. I don't know what I'm on the board of. I'm on the edge of a lot of things, let me tell you. But
well, probably the people that complain. Here's what I'm thinking. You're in Denver, Lauren. It's very liberal. The people that complained to the ushers that you were being noisy could have recognized you and been like, oh, that's that MAGA girl. Yeah, exactly. You know how they are. I get it. Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, I think you explained it well enough, and the mainstream media can take a fly-in. You take care. Have a good day. Appreciate you.
Thanks so much. Bye, Dan.
Yep. Up next, State of California.
This is why OAN just doesn't cut the mustard in terms of being an important news outlet. And Lauren Boebert may not end up cutting the mustard as a member of Congress. She narrowly won re-election last go-around.
Well, TMZ caught up with her at the airport in D.C. when she returned. And
I don't want to hear TMZ yet. I want to comment on what Lauren Boebert just said and that interview. And I don't want to walk past that. That's a problem, what she said, and the way she's approaching this. It is undignified, to say the least, as was her behavior that night. What is she? Is this her first date? Is she a 13-year-old girl? Not to mention, she's not divorced.
Well, she blamed Friday. She blamed Friday nights on her public and painful divorce.
We just heard from her. She's positively bubbly. That's exactly my point.
Yeah, she's a hot mess.
So I mean, there's this sort of the YDM prep saying you can't date somebody at the left, but even doing the sort of philosophical checklist doesn't get you home. I mean, the whole there are more important stories. Of course, there are more important stories than your behavior that night, but it doesn't mean that your behavior is not a story. And
it doesn't mean it's acceptable what you did,
whether it's a story or not. What are you doing?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. It's been a rough week for her.
She, you mean because
that's what she said.
Because she broke up. She broke up with
Congresswoman, I know it's been a rough week. Or has it been?
It's always hard whenever there's gravity put on the voters. I'm here to provide levity and lift burdens off of people. So anytime that they're carrying mine, it's something that kind of feel deep inside. But ultimately, all future date nights have been canceled. and I learned to check party affiliations before you go on a date. But all in all, it was mostly a lovely time, and I've taken responsibility for my actions. Would love to know how the musical ended, and I encourage people to go and see it. But it was a great time back in the district, seeing voters and.
So how are the voters taking it? How are the voters taking it right now? Are they understanding at this moment?
Yeah, there's a lot of folks who are certainly understanding, and they understand that it was a part of my personal life, my private time, something that I rarely indulge in, and
Other lawmakers have their personal lives and they don't behave like that. It's not unique.
It's not even about a lawmaker. I mean,
Public
but I don't care if you're a
officials.
member. I don't care if you're a public official or not. She just happens to be temporarily. I mean, it's also about the reaction from some conservatives and conservative outlets like that goof on OAN. You think you're helping the cause? So having no standards. I mean, I know the Trump's Borscht behavior and the Borscht behavior. A lot of men, I would say the same thing. But you think you're advancing the flag by running interference for that? You're not. If you don't police yourself as a party, then the other side will happily do it for you and cover their tracks because you don't have the moral standing to speak with clarity on issues like this. This is the story in Illinois for the last 30 years. You may want to take some notice.
Well, and she gets away with the behavior that she did because she's a woman. If a man did that, are you kidding me?
Well,
There'd be calls for him to resign.
They were both doing it. Oh, you mean it was
right? It was say a male politician.
Well, I don't know. They were
groping and like feeling a crotch area.
Well, they were both doing it.
I know. It's just.
I learned that you have to check the partisan affiliation. Oh, really? You didn't know who the guy was?
Queen Gallagher. You had no idea he owned a bar and had drag shows there.
You had no idea who he was. You went out with him. You're a member of Congress in addition to, so you're a public figure, so maybe you're even a little bit more circumspect. You're going through a divorce right now, but you're not divorced, so maybe you'd be a little even more circumspect, but you had no idea. I mean,
when you say affiliation as far as...
I just don't buy it. I don't buy any of it. And her, sort of weak attempts at misdirection are insulting.
Do you want to hear this misdirection play?
And when you say affiliation as far as knowing not to date the opposite side...
Well, TMZ, I'm pretty sure you told the world I went on a date with a Democrat.
When it comes like that...
The violence of TMZ doing a ambush interview. I'm sorry. I mean, Lauren Boebert is in the process of blowing herself up right now, politically. And, I mean, you can avert your eyes if you want. But, 5-seat majority, a swing district, kind of a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But there's an opportunity here to say, get it together.
Yep.
And stop and get somebody around you who has some sort of sense so you stop sounding like a teenage girl after acting like a teenage girl in public.
As divorce lawyers always say, when you're going through a divorce, act like you're 3 months pregnant. Meaning you don't go out to bars, you don't go out to public places, you stay home.
Greg Schomburg.
Another reason why you should stay single, Dan, and this one is really sad, is the announcement of the Christina M. Corey Lewandowski. If that's true.
You're cracking up, Greg. You're breaking up. No, sorry, but
I read that Daily Mail article this weekend. Did you?
Christina and Corey Lewandowski. The allegation is a long-running affair. She's married. Long-running affair.
He's married.
That hasn't been confirmed, has it? It's been alleged. But you have all these anonymous insiders say it's a well-known secret inside the Beltway, so on and so forth.
He worked with her when she was promoting Trump on the campaign and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
She denies it, though.
She denies it.
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll see. And, I mean, I understand there are all sorts of skullduggerous figures that are looking to smear people with mere allegations. It's happened to me before, so I get that. So I'm not drawing conclusions. But if we know about Boebert, if this is true about Noam, that's a problem, obviously. Even though I know it's not generally a problem anymore in politics, I get it, and no one has a blind eye with respect to Trump. We talked about that from the very moment that he came down the escalator and announced his candidacy. The problems of with respect to his personal behavior of the past. That's not disqualifying. I'm not suggesting Lauren Boebert be thrown out of office. I'm suggesting she stop acting like a nitwit.
Yeah.
That's all.
Just get it together, girl. You can do this.
Roger, Southside.
Yeah, I'm usually 99% with you, brother. You know what? Listen, I think she has more guts than anybody that we've seen in 15 years as far as women in the Congress. And then if you want to compare her to all these actual, I don't know if I use the word on the air, I still don't get the button ready, but these women, starting with Toni Preckwinkle in this state.
I don't want to compare it. No. I don't want to compare her to Toni Preckwinkle.
Okay, Dan.
And I don't want to compare her to Susanna Gibson.
What? She went to one thing and so what? She's going through a divorce. Who cares? And secondly, yeah, she is getting a hands-off thing because you know what? All women in politics, as in life now, because of the 40-year, call it what you want, they get a free pass. I just think, listen, today we're going to have another 2,000 migrants on the streets of the city. Wrong fight. And I'm with you 99% of the time, Dan. Wrong fight for today. I don't know.
Thanks for the comment. It's not the wrong fight for today. It's not a fight. It's a commentary about something that happened, and Lauren Boebert has now exacerbated it by her response to it. And it's a larger conversation about, as I said, self-policing within your party or your movement. Somebody that has had profile and has been good on a lot of things and has been aggressive on a lot of things in a positive way. But that can all be undermined when you behave like a nitwit, so stop doing that. I'm not casting her down into the hellfires, for goodness sake, so get a hold of yourself. But I am saying let's call things what they are. By the way, this is why, it's like the Roger comment, and I mean, I know he's generally with me, but I mean, like, that's also why I'm single. I can't, there's conversations like that. It's just like, so you're sort of like, you're misunderstanding, mischaracterizing, not appreciating the simple point here. That extends beyond Lauren Boebert, and that was part of the Republican Party's demise, and by extension, the demise of the state of Illinois here. So you would think you'd be a little sensitive to it. Instead, people just want to say, "Oh, it doesn't matter," and rush past it, but it does. Jason in Northlake.
The bottom line is in order to get anything done, you have to win elections. And if you become a candidate or you support a candidate that is now going to become unelectable, you're not going to win elections and you're not going to get anything done.
Thanks for the call, Jason. All right. Any other further comment on Lauren Boebert?
Just get your act together, girl.
Okay.
She can do it.
I have one more.
And if she doesn't, she'll be out of a job. It's real simple.
I have one more. Why Dan Practice?
Oh, yes.
Well,
we have phone call. Well.
All right. Frank in Arlington Heights here in Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is Senator Susan Collins of Maine. I wanted to give you some hope, Dan. Senator Fetterman of Pennsylvania, they made the rule that you didn't have to wear nice suits and attire on the Senate floor. Senator Schumer did that. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking I may wear a bikini on the Senate floor. Anyway, I don't know if you heard that. I saw that.
I did, yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
And she's talking about, I think she's half joking, but, on a lighter note.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Frank. I bet you do a mean Katharine Hepburn, too. Another reason why Dan Proft's is single. A man in Australia is suing the hospital where he watched his wife deliver a baby via C-section, suing him for $642 million.
For what?
Claiming that the
He
sight of
fainted?
it caused him a psychotic illness
Oh, come on.
that led to the breakdown of his marriage. He was encouraged to observe the delivery. In the course of doing so, he saw something he can't.
No, you can't
He
unsee
can't
it.
see.
It's awful. Like, they take your organs out. No. It's a horror film. They don't even let, in America, they don't let men, well, Chicago, they don't let men in anymore to watch the C-section because they take your organs out. It's like cutting a baby out through the sunroof. And then I've had 2 of them. And then they take out the fetus.
I'm suing you.
Cut the placenta
I'm suing you
open,
for the psychotic
take it
illness
out,
you're giving
and
me.
then they put it back, and then they put your other organs back where they belong. And then they sew you up and stitch you and staple you. It's so barbaric.
I mean, look,
but yet it's so
I'm
beautiful because then you got the baby.
I mean, yeah.
They let him in though. Then where was that? Australia? You said.
Australia, $642 million. He's suing psychotic illness.
Oh, I could believe it. That's something you see that you do not unsee that. I looked over that little shield thing there. I'm like, oh my.
Again, I'm about to get
organs.
physically. I watch Saw movies like for lighthearted entertainment.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, that's not another that bothers me, but this.
I have a video of my C-section.
Oh,
do you want
my-
to see
yeah,
it? It's a
bring it in.
bloodbath. Oh yeah, and then you throw up afterwards because they give you so much
Oh, God.
anesthetic that you like get nauseous.
So but the whole thing of I would never want to be in the delivery room. Do you have to do that?
No, they do not. My first C-section, a husband could come in. The second one, no, because of medical malpractice reasons.
Whatever reason.
But you can be in there when, if they go the normal birth canal, you can be in there for that.
Oh my God.
I know
No.
some men faint though, and it's a problem.
I don't. No. No. Mm-mm.
You could just hold her hand and tell her to push.
Can we do a Zoom call?
Zoom call.
Ken in Plainfield.
Yeah, a couple things now since you introduced a new topic, but number one, I think people forget what it's like to be young and in love. My wife and I used to go to the movies and hold hands and share popcorn. Now, after 30-some years, we don't share popcorn anymore. But
get your own. Why
yeah,
do you always put so much
exactly.
butter on it? But Ken, I don't know if you saw the video, but it was a little bit more than sharing hands and popcorn.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
And the other thing with the C-section, luckily 5 natural births, but the doctor kept asking me if I want to cut the cord. I'm like, dude, that's what I pay you for.
Exactly right.
yeah.
You doing your job.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. They asked
Thanks
you
for the
that. Do you want to
call,
cut
Ken.
the cord? I think they assigned me that.
Yeah, in the
You wanna cut
marriage
the
maybe.
cord?
Oh
my God.
The Boebert thing.
Yes.
The Boebert thing. It's not even about the getting friendly. It's just about the entirety of the behavior, the vaping, the taking
Taking
a picture.
pictures.
Have you ever been to a
God,
a theater performance
you don't
before?
do it. She knows better. She has to know better.
That's just the whole thing. She comes across as
Arrogant.
flighty and unserious, and that's a bad look.
All right. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We're going to talk to Chris Whalen, investment banker, chairman of Whalen Global Advisors, about Bidenomics. We'll talk to him a little bit about the conversation we were having before Boebert, Bill Gurley's commentary on agency capture as well, the importance of that. That's all coming up at 7:07.
And if we do have time, Dan, I would like to tell you why Americans are overusing laxatives. America is constipated and nobody seems to care.
Something else I don't want to see.
Why can't they get themselves delted? All right, but now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
A family of 4 found shot to death in Romeoville, and the investigation continues. Chicago could soon abolish a sub-minimum wage for tipped workers. Chicago's Inspector General's office is gathering evidence for a serious probe into Chicago's city treasurer. Chicagoans voicing concerns over migrant shelters opening up on the near west side. One dead after a north side crash. Neighbors are mystified after a Maywood murder. Illinois House Democrats dropping a PR firm. Small plane lands on I-80. White Sox beat the Nationals. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
They landed, then they got big hugs. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. 5 Americans back in the U.S. and back in the arms of loved ones this morning.
Amazing. It's amazing. Unfreaking believable. We're so grateful to be together after 8 years.
Siamak, Namazi, and 4 other Americans who had been detained in Iran landed a few hours ago, the day after being set free in a prisoner swap.
To get the 5 Americans home, President Biden worked to unfreeze $6 billion in Iranian funds that are only supposed to be used to buy food or medicine. The 5 Iranians freed from U.S. jails were charged with offenses ranging from failing to register as a foreign agent to buying parts that could be used in missiles.
That's Fox's Peter Ducey. There's an update on another jailed American, Evan Gershkovich, back in a Russian court today, appealing his arrest. The Wall Street Journal reporter is accused of being a spy, which he and the Journal deny. The U.S. calls him wrongfully detained, demanding Gershkovich be released. In a few hours, President Biden will address world leaders at the UN General Assembly. Iran's president is also there, and Ukraine's leader, Volodymyr Zelensky, will also speak with a big focus at the summit on Russia's invasion. However, Fox's Jackie Heinrich reports from New York.
It's also about who is not here, and that includes 4 of the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council. The only one showing up is the host, President Biden. While Russian President Vladimir Putin will not attend because of an international arrest warrant, Chinese President Xi Jinping also snubbed the summit. He's not even sending his foreign minister, which is a swipe at U.S.-China relations ahead of an expected meeting with Biden this November. But France's Emmanuel Macron said his heavy schedule would not allow it, and UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is also absent.
On day 5 of the auto workers' strike, UAW President Shawn Fain in a video sets a Friday deadline. If there's no progress in talks, then
more locals will be called on to stand up and go out on strike.
So far, it's 3 plants that workers have walked out of, 1 each for Ford, GM, and Stellantis. America's listening to Fox.
59 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 3 are badly hurt this morning following a wrong-way crash on Lakeshore Drive. Police say a male was driving a Ford Expedition and struck a Honda sedan traveling in the wrong direction just after midnight in the 3000 block of South Lakeshore Drive. An investigation continues after a family of 4 was found dead in Romeoville.
Preliminary investigation leads police to believe this happened between 9 p.m. on Saturday and 5 a.m. on Sunday morning.
Deputy Chief of Police Chris Byrne. Police say Roberto Roland and Zoraida Bartolome and their 2 children were discovered shot to death Sunday night inside of a home in the 500 block of Concord Avenue. Chicago could soon abolish a sub-minimum wage for tipped workers. Mayor Brandon Johnson and the Illinois Restaurant Association have apparently agreed to a plan to phase out the lower minimum wage for tipped workers. The new ordinance set for a preliminary vote in the city council tomorrow. Chicago residents expressing deeper concerns over the opening of 2 more illegal immigrant shelters on Chicago's near west side. The city expects to open another migrant shelter in a 5-story building on North Ogden Avenue, as well as at a former Cook County adult probation facility on West Walnut. 1 person is dead after being hit by a vehicle on Chicago's north side. 2 vehicles collided yesterday morning in the 2700 block of West Peterson. One of the vehicles then struck the victim, who was on the sidewalk and pronounced dead at the scene. White Sox racked up 15 hits and a 6-1 win over the Nationals, while the Cubs take on the Pirates trying to stop their 5-game losing streak. 7:03 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Prices are still too high, and AM 560 and the Pride stores want to help ease your pain at the pump. Every Thursday morning in September, we're giving away $50 gift cards from the Pride stores to the first 56 customers who pump at least 5 gallons of gas between 7 and 8 a.m. at a specially selected location. To find out where, listen to Chicago's Morning Answer at 6:30 a.m. on Thursday morning. Then show up, fill up, and you could win a $50 gift card courtesy of the Pride stores at AM 560. The Answer.
School has started. The nights are getting cooler. The sun is getting lower on the horizon every day. Winter is coming and coming fast. Keeping your business's doors and gates working properly to keep out the extreme weather is a major concern. Your business can't afford a loss of income or productivity. Think ahead before Old Man Winter arrives and call Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. for your commercial door maintenance and security tune-up now. You can't always plan when your doors break down, and it always seems to come at the least convenient time. Industrial Door Company will ensure your doors, grills, and gates are working to specification and give you advice on how to increase the life of your doors. See a range of products and services at industrialdoor.com and call anytime 847-258-5620. Their team will be there before the extreme cold weather causes financial losses for your company. Since 1982, the Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. takes care of your doors so you can take care of business. Service and installation positions available now.
What's the best way to stop Joe Biden's agenda? No, it's not voting Republican. A better option is to vote with your wallet. Democrats get easy votes by giving away newly printed money, but we can fight this never-ending scam by making use of physical gold. I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and this is why I recommend a physical gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group. These special accounts allow you to preserve your retirement and help the country at the same time. Plus, you pay 0 penalties or taxes on the transfer. To learn more, text the word PROTECT to 989898, and my friends at Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold IRA company I trust, so text PROTECT to 989898 to request your free info kit right now.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I feel better, I look better, I have more energy, everything. And I'm 60 years old.
Oh my gosh, you need to share every bit of the success. I'm in love with them, and I'm going to keep on taking them until the end of time because my body clearly is doing something with Balance of Nature. I mean, my skin looks good, and I've got energy, and I walk, talk fast, and you can see that I'm up with these fruit and vegetables.
Happy National Fruits and Veggies Month. Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer today to receive $35 off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
7:07, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of the Pride stores, 17 locations throughout Chicagoland, including the new location, the Pride of Kane County in St. Charles, Kirkin, Maine, for weekly grand opening specials, exciting raffles. The Pride store is not your typical convenience store. Inbound Edens at 35 minutes, Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy inbound is an hour from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike, 55 minutes, 390 into the old post office. The Stevenson right now, brake lights, First Avenue all the way into the Ryan, 53 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan, jammed up, especially between 51st and Roosevelt, 25 minutes in from 95th. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Cloudy skies today, rain, and the high at 68. It'll be partly cloudy, shower in spots tonight, low 60. And then partly sunny for tomorrow, the high at 82. Partly sunny, nice day on Thursday, the high Thursday at 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Rain and clouds rolling in, 60 at O'Hare. Next news, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Money Hour Radio Show, Saturday afternoons at 3. Brought to you by Pure Shale Financial Group at PureShaleFinancial.com.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Tim Gurner is a big Australian real estate developer. He was at a conference recently talking about the power relationship between employer and employee. And he said this about the current environment.
I think the problem that we've had is that we have people decided they didn't really want to work so much anymore through COVID, and that has had a massive issue on productivity. Tradies have definitely pulled back on productivity. They have been paid a lot to do not too much in the last few years, and we need to see that change. We need to see unemployment rise. Unemployment has to jump 40, 50% in my view. We need to see pain in the economy. We need to remind people that they work for the employer, not the other way around. I mean, there's been a systematic change where employees feel the employer is extremely lucky to have them, as opposed to the other way around. So it's a dynamic that has to change. We've got to kill that attitude, and that has to come through hurting the economy, which is what the whole global, the world is trying to do. The governments around the world are trying to increase unemployment to get that to some sort of normality. And we're seeing it. I think every employer now is seeing it. I mean, there is definitely massive layoffs going off. People might not be talking about it, but people are definitely laying people off, and we're starting to see less arrogance in the employment market, and that has to continue because that will cascade across the cost balance.
Well, Gurner later apologized for those comments as being, a bit intemperate or harsh. But, I mean, he's not wrong that that's what Jay Powell has effectively been attempting to do for much of the last year. Ironically, it appears that what Sean Fain, the president of the United Auto Workers, is trying to do as well, although you would never say it. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Chris Whalen. He's an investment banker and chairman of Whalen Global Advisors, author of Broadband from Inspiration Enterprise, and editor for the Institutional Risk Analyst. Chris, thanks for joining us. Mr. Gurner could have perhaps been more artful with his rhetoric, but he's not wrong in terms of what he's observing policymakers, certainly central bankers, doing.
No, not at all. He's right on target. If you think of the amount of money that was thrown at U.S. consumers during COVID, both from the Fed and also the fiscal spend from Washington, it's not surprising that people's attitudes changed. But he's right. The way you tighten this up is by reminding people that they need to work for a living. So,
well, but
we're not quite there yet. We're going to have that conversation soon.
Yeah, but no, right. We're clearly not there because, you continue to hear it's nothing but good news. Yeah, I mean, the price at the pump is a little unnerving, but underlying inflation is cooling down, and we're projecting to grow at 5% this quarter. I mean, it's you got a economy, wages are increasing. I mean, hell, the UAW workers want to make $300,000 and bring back the defined benefit pensions they scrapped 2 decades ago. So, I mean, it's happy days are here again.
Yeah, it's a shame. We live in the age of manias of various types, social manias, economic manias, electric vehicles, for example. Every time I see Toyota make another announcement about their non-lithium batteries, I just laugh because all of that investment in lithium battery technology of the past decade that was driven by the woke folk and the progressives is going to be put in the trash can. It's ancient technology. There's no future for lithium. And yet, we still have big companies dumping billions and billions, including Tesla, by the way, into this technology because of the political impetus. That's it. I mean, no engineer would tell you to do that. It's just not a good way to invest your money.
So, when you say the lithium battery is going to go in the garbage, what's the future then?
You're going to have storage mediums that are not using that sort of chemical, which is what lithium is, to act as the anode. It's another way of storing energy, simply, okay? Lithium batteries are ancient technology. In fact, most batteries are ancient technology. Henry Ford wanted to make an electric car, but he realized, thanks to his friend Thomas Edison, that it was not practical. Even today, when you say to people, look, get a hybrid, don't get a pure EV, because they think, oh, I have to get an electric vehicle, right, to be politically correct. It's not practical. The problem. What do you do if you're with your family and you can't charge the car? You wait. Or you're in the winter in Illinois and the battery doesn't charge as well in cold temperatures. Thank you.
Well, maybe Henry Ford should have been hanging out with Nikola Tesla rather than Thomas Edison, and we wouldn't have Elon Musk.
No, it was just the technology of the time.
Yeah,
we've miniaturized motors now. Batteries are better made than they were 100 years ago, obviously. But everybody saw the promise of electricity. That's always been there. We still don't have the tech yet. But God Almighty, GM could go bust because of this. Look at the money they're losing.
Well, what about because of what they are probably going to end up paying out in this UAW contract? I mean, this has to be great news for right-to-work states in the South and Southwest, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's funny. I think the UAW believes, and this goes back to the comment we started with, right, that they have more leverage than they really do. Because if you force GM into another restructuring, and I think that's going to happen, by the way, these workers are going to get wiped out. They're going to lose their pension. So they should think about that. The automakers have always given their workers too much in terms of pensions and benefits, and not enough in the view of the workers, right, in terms of wages. But the automakers can't afford either. They bought labor peace for 50 years in Detroit by giving the UAW benefits that later on we saw they couldn't afford, and they took back. Remember?
So
we've seen this movie before.
I remember. I used to live in Detroit.
So when Sean Fain says, I'm quoting him, most of these workers in those companies are scraping to get by so that greedy CEOs and greedy people like Elon Musk can build more rocket ships and shoot herself, talking about Gina Barra, obviously, shoot herself into outer space. Is that what's happening, what Sean Fain says?
No, not at all. You know what GM ought to do? GM ought to just say, fine, we're going to liquidate the company.
Yep.
We're going to shut down. Thank you so much. Go find another job. All right? Go work for Toyota. See if they put up with this.
Well, in an EV world, they're going to have to lay off thousands anyway, so they should just take what they can get now, I think.
Yeah, you know what? If you haven't segued out of that industry by now, Amy, I think that's a very good question for these people. Why are you still working for GM? Are they going to be a winner when the auto industry consolidates down to 3 or 4 major manufacturers globally, and you have one company making drivetrains, one company making engines? We're almost there.
Right, but of course, people live in the moment, and in the moment, according to the SEC, the median worker at Tesla makes $34,000 in total comp compared to $80 at Ford, and they are 80 at GM and $75 at Ford, and they want to bump that up to $300 to hear Bill Farley tell you. That's a big bump.
Well, the company won't survive. GM has been restructured, 4 times, 5 times since its inception. Somehow Ford has avoided this. It's the grace of God, of course. But, none of these businesses are particularly profitable. The only thing I could think of would be better is if we just go into the government grocery business in Chicago. How about that?
It's
We need him to give us a title, the grocery store.
Yeah, we've got that figured out. We've got the city-owned grocery chain that's coming. Now we're working on city-owned restaurants with the guaranteed sub-minimum wage that's being turned into a guaranteed minimum wage for tipped workers over the next 5 years. So we want to do, a Brandon Johnson city-operated restaurant group. Again, not bottom-line sensitive, but just for the entertainment of watching them try to run a business.
I'm telling you, these are single-digit net margin businesses, and if you make a single mistake, you go out of business. That's it. Welcome to the restaurant and food business, too, by the way. Are we going to have shoplifting in these city-owned grocery stores? Is that going to continue?
Of course.
Yes.
Well, then you're done. Forget it. You open the doors.
The shoplifting will continue until morale improves. So AI. We were having this conversation. I don't know if you caught Bill Gurley's talk on that All In podcast the other day about agency capture, regulatory capture. It was a great 101 on this, and he gave some really nice concrete examples. And he's fast forwarding to the present because the past examples of regulatory capture that have benefited the behemoths in a particular sector at the expense of competition and thus the consumer, it's happening again, he would argue, I think, in most of Silicon Valley as well, with AI, as people like Sam Altman are begging to be regulated, meaning protected. And and there's a good piece actually by Andy Kessler in the Wall Street Journal about Schumer wanting his cut of the AI cash. And so what should we understand
He
about?
usually gets 2 slices, remember.
Right, and so what should we? But what should we understand about AI amid Republicans and Democrats saying we got to slow the pace, Elon Musk and others saying we need to set parameters and guardrails up here, or should we just say no? Let this be as free enterprise. Not as free enterprise as possible. Let free enterprise dictate the pace and the outcomes, and just everybody stay out of it, which you didn't do in so many of these other sectors, much to our detriment.
The only thing I would say is that if AI creates a piece of content, it should be labeled. I saw a piece about a public company yesterday that was written by a chatbot, had a extremely attractive photograph going along with it that had nothing to do with the story, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And, humans are easily fooled. The reason we have regulatory structures is because it's so easy to fool human beings, especially when it comes to money.
What about when the regulatory structures fool the human beings?
Well, no, they're captured.
Right, that's the point.
If we allow our regulators to work for the industries that they regulate, then we shouldn't complain about the corruption and the duplicity, right? You have to prohibit the regulators from working for the industry that they regulate. Lifetime, by the way. And if you do that, then there's no way for the regulated entities to be nice to the regulator. Go back to my dad's book on Joe Kennedy and read the first couple chapters about the SEC. In the old days, they put people in jail. They weren't looking to get a job from them. So it's just a matter of attitude. It's a matter of whether society takes itself seriously. Humans are, if you put a shiny object in front of them, they're going to follow it.
Chris, you cut out there for a second. It's a matter of if society takes itself seriously, and then what did you say after that?
Well, and wants to have basic rules that govern civil society. If you just have a free-for-all, the libertarian open model, right, then you're going to have crime and fraud and violence and everything else. It'll be Darwinian competition. We don't want to live that way. So the question is, do we have a compromise somewhere in between or not? Because obviously we're headed to the other extreme now.
Yeah, right. Right. So other than sort of truth in labeling, is that the only sort of stricture you would impose on the development of AI?
Yeah, I think so, because the interactions I've had with the technology, like if you call somebody who pretends to do business with you and they want you to talk to a computer rather than a human being, at a certain point you put the phone down. It doesn't work. And I think organizations are coming to realize that no matter how much money they put into AI, it's still very brittle. It often gets things wrong. And so your customer experience goes to hell. And that is a big problem for companies. So they play with these toys for a while. They throw them online for customer service and that kind of thing. But if it gets to the point where you actually need an answer, you have to talk to a human being. That's just the way it works. I mean, I deal with banks. Banks use this technology extensively, and they still haven't figured out a way to get it right. So,
what's your latest and greatest handle on the state of our urban centers, particularly as the migrant situation continues to put pressure on sanctuary designated communities like Chicago, New York, L.A., and the like?
Oh, go into New York City, go into Midtown Manhattan, and go by the hotels that they're using to store illegal immigrants. They are a wasteland
Oh,
that
that's
goes
awful.
several blocks around the building, right next to Grand Central Station. So you have all these firms that are building brand new high-end office space right next to Grand Central, and then you have this ratty old hotel next door with a bunch of lunatics from God knows where, smoking dope and shooting one another and everything else because they have nowhere to go. These people have been dropped into a strange city. They have very little support. Mayor Adams has no resources to deal with this. And so it's becoming a public eyesore, but no one cares.
Well,
So
they
we-
weren't dropped
people-
in. They voluntarily got on a bus to take them to New York because they have choices
Okay,
at the
but
border.
still-
I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, right. We saw that clip
'Cause we saw-
yesterday.
yeah.
Can I go to Chicago now? Sure, you can.
Yeah, go ahead.
Welcome to America. Do what you want.
I mean, they're literally, the border is literally open in portions of Arizona where people just are walking across. And there's like 1,200 a day coming to El Paso alone. And their streets are clogged.
This is the progressive model, guys. We need to find a conservative who can call this what it is. Okay, we have totally abdicated any responsibility for our fellow citizens. If you embrace the progressive agenda, you're just going to have chaos. I don't, to me, I wonder sometimes. These are not stupid people, but you wonder, do they care at all? Is it just like the folks up in Albany who are watching our real estate market go to hell? I'll give you an interesting example. FDIC is selling a bunch of rent-stabilized buildings that were owned by Signature Bank, our Signature Bank, by the way. And they are going to have to retain the majority position because the state legislature has made these buildings unfinanceable. You can't even get a mortgage from a bank because they call them toxic waste. All right? That's what the FDIC calls these buildings. So thank you very much, Albany. That was a really good move. If they don't reverse that 2019 rent control legislation soon, New York is going to be in a really bad situation. You're going to have major buildings in default, and nobody's going to want them.
So is that the next?
To take them over.
Is that the next shoe to
People
drop?
take them over.
Is that the next shoe to drop? What we're seeing like the Westfield Mall in San Francisco and what you're describing in New York, is that the next shoe to drop when that starts to metastasize further?
Yeah, because if you have a building that a bank no longer wants to fund, then they can't walk away because they're going to end up owning the building, right? So imagine the lender then abandons the building. They give the keys to the city and say, here, this is yours. The city will sue the lender and try and force them to take care of it, or at least put chain link around it to prevent people from going in there and living. It's going to look like a bad city in Latin America is what it's going to look like. It's going to look like Buenos Aires. You should go down there and have a look. So, that's where we're headed.
Chris Whalen is investment banker, chairman of Whalen Global Advisors, author of Forward Men from Inspiration to Enterprise, editor of the Institutional Risk Analyst as well. Chris, thanks as always.
Guys, have a great day.
Thanks, you too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Attention! Road Knights is expanding the Army. If you possess the heart of a warrior, the spirit of an adventurer, and an unrelenting drive to conquer new horizons with 3,000 miles weekly under your wheels, then hurry to call. Join the team that is strong as steel and united as convoy, and be on the road towards the glory. Have you had your commercial driver's license for over 2 years? Are you looking for an over-the-road driving job for the smoothest running, most established trucking company in the Midwest? This is not just a driving job. This is a mission. Visit online at roadnights.us or call 773-672-2062. That's 773-672-2062 or online at roadnights.us. Call or email today for details on a life-changing opportunity to drive for the best in the business. Victory is the only option. Road Knights Trucking. Join our mission today.
Building on what Chris Whalen was saying. Alderman Andre Vasquez, your buddy there.
He loves me.
He doesn't like tents. He doesn't like the tent
Well,
idea.
too bad.
No.
He's
Not
in
too bad.
charge. He's in the immigration czar or whatever.
Not too bad. We should actually be using funds we're getting to acquire property and rehab buildings we currently have, Partner up with trade unions to be able to get something done to increase your capacity before winter. City buying up buildings. Yeah, we need another name. We need a name for these city-owned real estate developments, vacant buildings that are going to be rehabbed and used to house people who've come to this country illegally and may or may not have an asylum application. That's the other thing. All these, they're asylum seekers.
Yeah,
Some are and some are not.
Yeah, they have merit hearings, and then what happens if they do not seek asylum? If the judge decides, no, that's not a reason, you can't stay here. Who's rounding them up and sending them back? Nobody. It's a joke. They're invading us. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Is this Wilkins Mazda line?
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, Dan. Go ahead with your live read.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be great.
The weather is cooling down, but the savings are heating up at Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. Dan Profiteer, if you're looking for a new or pre-owned Mazda, you need to visit Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. You'll find the Mazda you want, and the price you see is the price you get. No games and no gimmicks. Right now is a great time to buy a new Mazda with limited time incentives that only come around once a year. You can lease a 2023 Mazda CX-30 for $289 a month, or a 2023 Mazda CX-5 for $315 a month, or for $539 a month, lease the all-new 2024 Mazda CX-90. That's a hot item. All lease terms, 33 months with $39.95 down plus tax, title, license, and the $324.24 dock fee, with approved credit through Mazda Capital Services for qualified buyers. And to keep your Mazda running great all year round, schedule your next service appointment online at WilkinsMazdaCars.com. That's WilkinsMazdaCars.com. Wilkins Mazda is conveniently located in Elmhurst off York Road and 290, just minutes from Oak Brook, downtown, and Schaumburg. So experience the next level of excellence at Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. Visit WilkinsMazdaCars.com and see dealer for details.
Don't defund the police. Hire the police to protect your business. Rising crime has been crippling business owners in Illinois more and more in the past year. Blue Star Security can protect your most valuable asset, your business, to protect both you and your customers. Blue Star Security is the only security company in Chicago with over 500 off-duty police officers, all W-2 employees.
I'm Anthony Barchetto, president of Blue Star Security and a 20-year law enforcement veteran. Our team is exclusively state-certified active and retired law enforcement professionals who provide the highest standards in security. We serve Fortune 500 companies, as well as small businesses and individuals, responding rapidly and seamlessly to each assignment. Blue Star Security's technology allows mobilization of off-duty officers quickly and efficiently. Our primary mission is to provide unparalleled protective services for each assignment with integrity while maintaining our commitment to community service in the Chicagoland area.
Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at BlueStarSecurityLTD.com. That's BlueStarSecurityLTD.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right. Hey, by the way, the old Bloomingdale's building at the Old Orchard Mall, well, it's Westfield, but I still call it Old Orchard Mall. It's been abandoned for months. They might turn it into indoor pickleball courts in the wintertime.
Wonderful. Excellent.
I think, it's something, huh?
So is that who's going to operate that? Who's going to own it?
I don't know.
The
It's
village?
a pretty large space. Yeah.
What village of, what would that be? Skokie? Yeah.
All right. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, all things Illinois policy related with Ted Dabrowski, president of wirepoints.org, including a review of day one under the Pritzker Purge Law, 7:37.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
59 degrees at 7:33. 5 Americans imprisoned in Iran are back on U.S. soil, touching down this morning in Virginia.
The funds that were released be used for humanitarian purposes. The U.S. will have complete insight on how those funds are being used.
That's the opinion of U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas Greenfield. President Biden is scheduled to address the UN General Assembly this morning. Military says a debris field has been found in South Carolina, apparently linked to a missing stealth fighter jet. A Marine Corps pilot ejected from the F-35B after some sort of mishap Sunday. Walt Disney World theme park back open for regular operations today after a bear was spotted inside yesterday and then captured.
There are approximately 4,000 bears in the state of Florida now, and the majority of that population is in the central part of the state. So we're seeing more and more of these incidences where bears are seeing people and vice versa. But of course, having one in the Magic Kingdom will draw a lot of attention.
Florida wildlife officials caught the bear in a backstage area near the Magic Kingdom's Frontierland Monday afternoon. 3 are badly hurt after a wrong-way crash on Lakeshore Drive. It happened early this morning in the 3000 block of South Lakeshore Drive. An investigation continues after a family of 4 was found dead in Romeoville.
Preliminary investigation leads police to believe this happened between 9 p.m. on Saturday and 5 a.m. on Sunday morning.
Deputy Chief of Police Chris Burns says the discovery was made after a member of the family did not show up to work. With the end of cash bail, the law now in Illinois, and now begins the back and forth over how it impacts victims of crime. The state's Pretrial Fairness Act, the first in the nation to end money bond. State Senator Terry Bryant says the end of cash bail will hurt victims of crimes.
It's absolutely not fair for the victims of crime. From restitution payment to victim services, bonds and fees often contribute to vital services to help victims recover from their trauma.
Even the ACLU of Illinois' Ben Rudell foresees a major problem that could arise as the law is implemented statewide. That's the availability of public defenders. Chicago sports. White Sox 6-1 winners over the Nationals. Cubs take on the Pirates tonight. The News is a service of PKF Mueller's CPA, professionals, business, and financial advisors. The team, experienced and committed, ready to help with record-keeping, cash flow forecasting, and more. Visit online today, pkfmueller.com, pkfmueller.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum wants honesty from politicians.
Whether I trust him 100% or not, or whether I think he's genuine about certain things is irrelevant to me. I just think he was a great president. The man was putting in policies, everybody was winning. So by and large, I think Trump did a lot of great things. And that's why I voted for him, and I voted for him twice. I just wish these people would just be honest, man, and not like be beating around the bush because they feel like they caught up in something.
The Officer Tatum Show, weeknights at 7, right before Jay Sekulow at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Reveille. September 17th is designated as Constitution Day, commemorating the day in 1787 when our Constitution was signed. Foundational precepts in the Constitution go back centuries before that, though, as far back as the Magna Carta of 1215, and the notion, very foreign at the time, that people should not be governed by a king, but governed by laws. Thomas Paine made this a centering point during our founding, simply stating that in America, the law is king. To be clear, the Constitution is all but a piece of paper, though, if the laws written therein are not followed. The Constitution has no relevance if there is no rule by law applied equally to all. And today in America, it's hard to say that we have a justice system committed to the rule of law and elected officials committed to limiting their power. The last 6 years have shown many cracks in our adherence to the Constitution. Russia collusion hoax with federal agencies making up crimes against the president, government lockdowns and mandates over a virus that trusted experts lied about, the Biden administration caught working with big media to censor opposing opinions and stifling free speech. These are big cracks. But Americans' rights are stripped away one city ordinance and one state law at a time through excessive taxation, restrictive zoning, and the non-prosecution and unequal treatment of crime, like failure to prosecute retail theft or deal with rioters of different political persuasions in the same way. Protecting our Constitution isn't something done just on Election Day. For our constitutional republic to remain intact, it is just as important for ordinary citizens to hold local and state officials accountable in everyday matters. That starts by being informed. As Thomas Jefferson said, whenever the people are well informed, they can be trusted with their own government. I'm Jeannie Ives. To be informed, listen to my radio show here on Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com. That's breakthrough-ideas.com.
Building owners, property managers, and chief engineers. This one's for you.
Hello, this is Bruce Diedrich with Waukegan Roofing, your professional roofer. Everything starts on top. Your investment, your building, and everything in it is protected by your roof. It needs to be in good shape. That's where we can help. If it needs to be repaired or replaced, or you think it might,
Call us. Let's find out. Here's the number.
847-623-1625.
At Waukegan Roofing, our employees are union-trained roofing professionals with OSHA safety training certifications and have thorough knowledge and expertise regarding the various roofing systems we sell, maintain, and install. We know commercial roofing systems because that's all we do. Over 110 years of doing commercial roofs. Waukegan Roofing has the slogan,
Roofs you can rely on.
Because you can. Here's the number to call.
847-623-1625.
And get the info at waukeganroofing.com. waukeganroofing.com.
7:39. Let's get an update on the roads. The service of health insurance mentors. Are you 65 or older thinking about Medicare? Call Stephen Tucker today for free Medicare advice. Visit healthinsurancementors.com or call 630-674-1551. The Kennedy at an hour 12 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Right now, the Ike inbound 67 minutes, 390 to the old post office. The Ike outbound 43 back out to Route 390. Stevenson, it's an hour 9 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan, 33 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Reagan, heavy and slow eastbound on 88 between Route 53 and the Tri-State. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Clouds, rain showers passing through, and a high of 68 today. 60 overnight, 82 and sunshine tomorrow. 60 at O'Hare. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when. You're moving out. I said, when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. That theme music means it's time for our weekly confab with Ted Dabrowski, president of wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. I got the name for the complexes that Andre Vasquez, 40th Ward, wants to stand up.
You mean my bestie?
Yeah, point person for where to put all the migrants coming to Chicago. Again, doesn't like tents. Instead of tents, we should actually be using the funds to acquire property and rehab buildings and house migrants in said buildings. The complex...
Bring back housing projects.
Complex name.
Yes.
Gimme Dat Crib, which will be part of BLM Brandon's Gimme Dat Empire, a portfolio that will include grocers and restaurants as well. In the buildings,
what you did there. Yes, in the buildings. Yes, what?
Vertically integrate. In the buildings, you could have a Gimme Dat grocer and a Gimme Dat restaurant, part of the BLM Brandon restaurant group, one of the Gimme Dat restaurants. And this is all city owned.
I am just so sick of my tax dollars going for this crap. I mean, drive by your police district, please, people, and see the nice bags and bedding we've bought them, and clothes and food, and this is just the beginning.
Yeah,
more are coming.
So I was with the nice people in the North Shore on Sunday night with John Cass.
Oh, yeah, how did that go? I noticed I didn't get my invite.
It was good. Ted Dabrowski was there as well.
Oh, the eyebrows. Yes. Your fancy friends.
And so we were talking about a range of issues, and one of the things I was a little, I don't know, perhaps gauche and even pimply. I mentioned to these suburbanites who don't come to the city anymore, but they hear about it, that, by the way, your schools up here, like New Trier and the Glenbrook schools, they're kind of terrible. Did you know this? I know you chose to live here because the schools were so great, and that might have made sense when Charlton Heston and Ann Margaret were going to New Trier, but they're not there anymore. In fact, as I said to them, New Trier's not even what it was when David Schwimmer was there. I don't know what you think New Trier is or the Glenbrook schools are, but they're not schools that are educating kids. They're just indoctrination camps. And I mentioned, and I just want to confirm this too, because I was going by memory. When you send your kid to when you move up to Tony, Wilmette, or Winnetka, and you send your kid to New Trier, you're one of the best public school in the state, so on and so forth. Really. But what you're really doing is saying, I'm sending my kid to a school that is mediocre, and I'm paying a premium for it because it's that important. 71% of students at New Trier read at grade level. Does that surprise you? Number's low.
Oh, that surprises. 71%?
69% of students at New Trier do math at grade level. And 99% graduate, 71% are proficient in reading, as you just heard. Of course, everybody graduates.
So everybody graduates.
71%.
Is what you're saying.
Yes. But a full almost third are not really prepared to go to the Ivy League. Well, maybe they are. I don't know what is the Ivy League these days. By the way, New Trier is a magnet. Really? Why is student enrollment down 4% over the last decade, while operational spending per student up 37%? It operates just like CPS does. It's it's on a smaller scale, but it just operates the same way. Student enrollment is down, and cost is exponentially more to produce
less results.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's the Chicago way, Dan.
Well, central planning is central planning is central planning, isn't it? And then when you make your focus politics rather than even attempting some sort of transference of skills, disciplines, well, you get what you get. But I did have a lovely time. By the way, shout out to Al's Meat Market in Wilmette.
Oh.
That's different than the Al's Meat Market in Peoria. That's a different kind.
Oh.
Al's Meat Market in Wilmette.
That's the strip club, right? The Al's Meat, or it's just called Al's.
Yeah. How do you know that?
I know that.
Exactly. Right. We know what you spend your weekends.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Al's Meat Market is an actual butcher shop. Got a wonderful steak from Al's, from Joe Spera and Al's.
You cooked that steak up yourself?
No, I got a guy.
You got a guy?
I got a guy who cooked it. We had
I could cook
a little dinner party yesterday.
Oh.
It's gone. It's done.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's in your belly. Get
That's
in
good.
my belly.
All right, enough of this. Let's get serious here with Ted Dabrowski. Ted, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. It's good seeing you there, Dan.
Yeah, I hope I didn't, make you uncomfortable or offend anyone's sensibilities by just reporting what is true about these schools on the North Shore that just are not producing what people think they're producing.
No, I thought the wake-up call was good. I think you might have shocked a few people. Hey, wait. You're supposed to talk about Chicago, not about New Trier.
Yeah, you can't criticize us. Right.
Come on, or at least beat up Evanston, but come on, leave Wilmette out of this. Winnetka. But no, I think it's true, and I've had 3 kids go through there, and one's still there. And
can any of them read?
They can.
These are Ted's children. Of course, they can read. This is a Georgia Tech grad.
Come on, Amy. They can read TikToks. They can read.
All right, they're doing the gram, and the Snap.
Yeah, they can handle that. No, that's the big deal. Is that and I've seen this. I've been in a lot of school myself, and it used to be that in schools you had a lot of reading to do, a lot of literature to read, and hard. Let's call them hard books, right? Books that are you have to actually do a little bit of work to get through, and those books are gone. I don't see that happening anymore. And if you were to suggest, hey, read Crime and Punishment, they say, what let's just do something easier. So that's one, and then 2, the whole dynamic of getting to redo your work. If you turn it in late, that's okay, as long as you turn it in by the end of the quarter or the semester. That stuff is so damaging to the kids' learning. So that's what happens in the best schools now. That whole demanding excellence, that's gone. It's all more about racial affinity coalitions and and stuff like that. So
we went through that. I mean, thanks to what WirePoints did in putting together these school report cards and synthesizing the Illinois State Board of Education data for everyone. You go to wirepoints.org; they're all there. You can look up every school district.
Amazing.
We did in advance of the spring elections. We were focused on all the suburban schools that have these great reputations, and you look, and the numbers are no better. Most of them are worse than New Trier. But in absolute terms, they're all bad. I mean, Barrington, Hinsdale, Downers, it's the same story everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, New Trier is good, actually, right? It's 71. Just the fact that only 30% can't read at grade level is good now, in New Trier. But, you can look at Arlington Heights and places like that. I think I mentioned this before, but I had parents call me and tell me that I was wrong, that, reading at Arlington Heights has to be better than 47%.
47%?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like half of the kids.
Was that Meadows or Hersey?
That's good.
Wow.
That's just the whole 214, whichever
okay,
one.
That's
214.
yeah, that's both. Yeah, that's incomplete.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you pushing those report cards out, Dan, because we finally found a way to get around the media. We had so many parents using those at school boards, and people woke up to that. If we can do the same thing in Chicago, and that's what we're going to try to do.
Let me guess. That day, the administrators and the school board members. Oh, that data is taken out of context, and that's not the real data. Well, we have the real data.
That was during COVID.
Salted away in a secret compartment somewhere, and so on. So I mean, it's the Illinois State Board of Education test scores. I mean, that's the data. The data is the data.
Yeah, you're cherry picking. Don't focus on reading. Focus on something else.
Don't focus on reading. Focus on what's important. It's not reading and math. What is it? We don't know. Just don't focus there.
Yeah, my favorites when we went down to Springfield to testify on this data, and Hershire, representative from there, she's like, "Have you ever been in a third grade classroom?" Well, first of all, I have been, because I used to be a third grader.
Right. When I was in third grade, unlike unlike you when you were 14.
I don't have to be some professional to know whether kids can read or not. Plus, I'm taking the state's own data, and they're the ones telling me I don't need to be in a third grade classroom. So, they said we're cherry picking and all that. It's whatever the right words are, disgusting or sad or perverse, but it's where we are.
Day one of the Pritzker Purge law taking effect yesterday. Some reporting on the side. This is sort of a fun vignette. Everything's working out the kinks, but everything's going to be great. Of course it is. This was interesting. Domestic violence court in Cook County. Of the 16 cases of misdemeanor domestic violence before Judge Michael Hogan, prosecutors sought to detain people in 14 of the 16 cases. The judge granted their requests in 5 of them. Okay. Well, I don't know what the normal percentage is, and I don't know the details in these cases. I just know that there are going to be a lot more, and the electronic monitoring, where the Supreme Court's electronic monitoring division, state Supreme Courts, is going to be doing that for 71 of the state's 102 counties. I just know there's going to be a lot more people charged with significant crimes who are going to be on electronic monitoring roaming around Chicagoland and the rest of the state, as they have been under Kim Fox and Tom Dart and Preckwinkle in Cook County, right?
Yeah, I think first of all, we have to, this is just one of those names from the government that's supposed to make you, to fool you. But the Safety Act, I finally figured it out talking to Quinn before the show. The Safety Act is meant to keep the criminals safe. Now it all makes sense to me, right? They don't have to spend time in jail. They don't have to post bail. They are now safe to spend more time on crime. No, it's great to have CWB Chicago do its reporting. They reported on the last person to be covered before. So this would be Sunday night before Safety Act took effect. It's a woman who I've got it wrong. It's the last person to order to pay cash bail. Well, this is a guy who maybe didn't do a violent crime. He just kind of was in his car, didn't like all the traffic. Tried to get around all the traffic, almost hits a cop. They chase him. He runs several red lights. And this is a guy that, under the new laws will probably just walk out. Obviously somebody who's dangerous, somebody who will come close to hitting a cop and then run away from them, in a car chase. That's a dangerous person. That's a person willing to hurt people, but probably under the new rules, may be able to just, get out, and that's the problem. And then you got other people. The first person who was covered under the new laws under Safety Act, she was accused of pepper spraying cops, and she sent home without posting bail.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a friendly environment to a bunch of alleged criminals, many of them felons, and we know that. There are tons of ex-felons who are out on pretrial, and they're happy to commit a crime while they're out.
Yeah, I know Channel 5 was out there, and there's some people that were released, and they tried to interview them, and I couldn't understand a word that they were saying. One was a robbery, like a smash and grab, and he just said, I couldn't go to work now. I'm happy I'm out. And he wasn't even on electronic monitoring. They just let him walk. And he'll come back for his court hearing because, there's nothing on the table for him. There's no incentive for him to come back for his court hearing.
Where does he work, I wonder?
Yeah, I don't know. Why did he need to steal all that stuff? So it's
what people don't get is that bail is a really good way of allowing people to be out of jail. By the way, this is what people forget. Some guy who maybe without bail is going to be held, right? So if you're worried about that black guy who you think should be out and being with his family while he's awaiting trial, well, with bail, there's a chance that the judge would have let him or her out because that bail is kind of given that financial incentive to behave while they're out. Now, without bail, the judge may say, "Hey, sorry, you're too risky. I'm keeping you in." So those people worried about equity, it could be worse for some of those people. And then the other side of the whole equity argument for this bail thing is that, man, all the crimes, virtually all the crimes, 90% plus of all crimes are hurting Black and Latinos. So the more bad guys that are out on the streets, well, guess what? The more Blacks and Latinos get killed or victimized.
Right.
Yeah, and we don't care about equity for those people. We only care about equity for the criminals, and that's what's so screwed up about this whole law. It needs to be unwound. It's just a question of how many decades does it take us to get back in power and take it back.
Ted Dabrowski, President of WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks, Ted.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, this is Steve. I'm in Italy, away from my business. But I'm not worried about the office or my absence from it. I'm confident because I've got Turnkey on my side. They've helped me solve several problems for my business, so I can finally relax for a bit while I let the business work. Not only did Turnkey help with my IT problems, their expert team gave me a custom consultation that found additional profit centers in my company. They've helped me focus on a new direction for my business. It's not easy to relax when you own a business, but with our partnership with Turnkey, I feel confident, resolved, and ready to deliver. Now, I'm going to relax, have a Peroni, and depend on the direction Turnkey has helped me embrace. They can help your business too. Visit turnkey.pro to start a conversation today. That's turnkey.pro.
The pros at Turnkey share your values. They know IT and they know small business. They're Chicagoland's small business champions. Visit turnkey.pro to book your appointment today. That's turnkey.pro.
Do you really want to take shots the rest of your life just to lose weight? NJ Diet's typical results are twice as fast as weight loss injections without any of the side effects. Plus, you learn proper portion control and develop healthy eating habits for the rest of your life. By the end of NJ Diet's 40-day program, you will lose 20 to 40 plus pounds, contractually guaranteed. You will lose the weight and keep it off the natural way. NJ Diet uses your hair, saliva, and blood work along with scans to personalize natural solutions and supplements that get your body into the fat-burning zone. Then, NJ Diet uses your DNA info to help you keep the weight off. Locations locally in Skokie and Oakbrook or available with live online video consultations. Don't take shots the rest of your life. Lose weight quickly the natural way with NJ Diet. Call 855-5-NJ-DIET or schedule your consult today at njdiet.com. That's njdiet.com.
When this is the sound of a crackling campfire on a cool evening, you can sit back and relax. But when it's the sound of your counters and cabinets smoking and smoldering following a house fire that's affected your entire kitchen, you need to pick up the phone and call 1-800-SERVPRO. Only the cleanup and restoration specialists at ServPro can help make fire and water damage like it never even happened. So make the call to 1-800-ServPro when fire damage strikes. Franchises are independently owned and operated.
Hi, I'm Test Director Rick from ServPro, the leader in cleaning, restoration, and construction. It's my job to make sure our pros are prepared for anything. Storm damage? Fixed. Flood damage? We're on it. Fire damage? Not anymore. Aliens? What? Aliens? We cleaned those sites a while ago. No matter the disaster, our pros will make it like it never even happened. Find out why ServPro is the #1 choice for residential and commercial restoration projects large and small. Visit servpro.com today.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We need to check in about how FUBARD, our healthcare system, is in America, and to help us examine that, see Stephen Tucker, principal broker for healthinsurancementors.com, will join us at 8:08.
And if you have some personal plumbing problems, you might have to go to another state to help yourself out. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
A family of 4 found shot to death in Romeoville. Neighbors still mystified after a Maywood murder in a small plane lands on I-80. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
They got a big welcome home. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The 5 Americans freed from Iran in a prisoner swap landed in Virginia this morning, getting big hugs from their loved ones.
The first detainee off the plane, Siamak Namazi, held the longest on what the U.S. says were false espionage charges. The deal included the dismissal of charges against 5 Iranians being held in the U.S. and the unfreezing of $6 billion in Iranian oil revenue, something critics call ransom money.
That's Fox's Lillian Wu. Another American remains jailed. Evan Gershkovich, a Wall Street Journal reporter, was back in a glass cage inside a court in Moscow today, appealing his arrest as an accused spy. The U.S. demands Gershkovich be set free.
The charges against Evan are baseless. The Russian government locked Evan up for simply doing his job. Journalism is not a crime.
That's U.S. Ambassador to Russia Lynn Tracy. In about an hour, President Biden will address world leaders at the UN General Assembly, expected to talk about Russia and the war in Ukraine. Its President Volodymyr Zelensky will also speak at the UN.
He's likely to once again lobby countries for aid in his fight against Russia, and before he's scheduled to visit Washington later this week, where funding for Ukraine has been a contentious issue in Congress.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz. Now, Congress has 12 days to work out some sort of a budget. House Republicans are trying to work out a plan for 30 days more funding. Congressman Jerry Carl says with non-defense spending cuts and border security provisions.
I think it's a good CR. I think we need to vote it in. We need to keep the country moving.
But other Republicans disagree and may block the plan. No funding means a government shutdown. But Congressman Matt Rosendale also tells Fox Business that's not a big deal.
Only 15% of the government gets shut down. Most everything is going to get paid. And even the part that does get shut down, those payments are merely deferred. They are not canceled.
America's listening to Fox.
59 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 3 are badly hurt following a wrong-way crash on Lakeshore Drive early this morning. Police say a male driving a Ford Expedition was struck by a Honda traveling in the wrong direction in the 3000 block of South Lakeshore Drive. The investigation continues after a family of 4 was found dead in Romeoville.
A member of the family did not show up for work at 6 a.m. on the morning of Sunday, September 17th, and did not respond to phone calls throughout the day.
Deputy Chief of Police Chris Byrne, the discovery was made after police arrived on the scene. And police do say Roberto Rolón and Zoraida Bartolome and their 2 children were found shot to death in the 500 block of Concord Avenue. Former NFL player believed to be missing after his mother was found dead over the weekend in Maywood has apparently surfaced online.
Fake news. It has to be the FBI that came into my house on Bob Marley's death day with the 511 Agent Gas, unwarranted.
The investigation began when Maywood police received a report about the disappearance of Myrtle Brown, 73, and her son Sergio Brown. Brown says he thought his mother was on vacation and also made accusations against Maywood police and the FBI. Right now, police are not labeling him a suspect. Chicago's Inspector General's office is gathering more evidence, part of its investigation into allegations of corruption and misconduct against City Treasurer Melissa Conyers-Irvin. The Tribune reporting investigators have seized computers from the Treasurer's City Hall offices last week. White Sox 6-1 winners over the Nationals, while the Cubs take on the Pirates tonight. 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Today, you'll be able to buy a piece of Instacart. The grocery delivery company is launching its stock on the NASDAQ. The ticker symbol is CART. The parent company is actually named Boebert. The stock's been priced at $30 a share, the upper end of its expected range. Amazon is holding a fall sale, and now Target has revealed it will too. Amazon's Prime Day deals are October 10th and 11th. Target's Circle Week will be October 1st to 7th. Target says it's offering deep discounts for loyalty program members, and the company says it's planning to hire nearly 100,000 seasonal team members. The Federal Reserve's meeting is today and tomorrow. Its decision on interest rates and its assessment on the economy is expected Wednesday. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher says it's our right.
We have the right to decide whether we want Trump in the Oval Office or not. We have the ability and the right and the authority, the constitutional authority to make that determination, not Fannie Willis or Alvin Bragg or any one of the other George Soros prosecutors who are soft on crime.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's a big evening you don't want to miss. The Illinois Family Institute's Faith, Family, and Freedom Banquet with best-selling author and nationally syndicated radio host Eric Metaxas. Friday, November 3rd at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. To attend, click events at illinoisfamily.org.
We're talking about religious freedom being constricted by the state. Will the church wake up and say, this is wrong?
Eric Metaxas is the author of Bonhoeffer, Amazing Grace, and his latest book, Letter to the American Church, is a wake-up call for Christians to speak out and protect religious liberty.
If you will speak up, things will change if we would but try.
Eric Metaxas and the IFI Faith, Family, and Freedom Banquet, Friday, November 3rd at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. To attend, click events at illinoisfamily.org. illinoisfamily.org.
What's the best way to stop Joe Biden's agenda? No, it's not voting Republican. A better option is to vote with your wallet. Democrats get easy votes by giving away newly printed money, but we can fight this never-ending scam by making use of physical gold. I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and this is why I recommend a physical gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group. These special accounts allow you to preserve your retirement and help the country at the same time. Plus, you pay zero penalties or taxes on the transfer. To learn more, text the word PROTECT to 989898, and my friends at Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold IRA company I trust, so text PROTECT to 989898 to request your free info kit right now.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
You're invited to join Chicago's Aid for Women, celebrating 45 years of empowering women to choose life. Join them Thursday evening, September 28th at the Union League Club in downtown Chicago for their annual benefit dinner. The keynote speaker will be the Babylon Bee's Seth Dillon. The Presidium Vitae Award will be presented to Relevant Radio. Aid for Women provides many important services to women facing unplanned pregnancy who may be considering abortion. At Aid for Women, they believe that the solution to a crisis pregnancy is to remove the crisis, not the child. Aid for Women provides housing, parenting classes, mentoring, and genuine friendship to pregnant women in need, allowing them to choose life and setting them on the path to financial security and independence. To learn more about this event and to support this great organization, go to helpaidforwomen.org. That's helpaidforwomen.org. You can help save lives and souls from abortion today.
8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. It's a service of MyPillow. Big news, MyPillow 6-pack bath towel sets are back in stock. Still provides that soft feel you look in a towel, but they're extremely absorbent. And for a limited time, get 50% savings with promo code Liberty. I-80, couple of problem spots. A car in the ditch westbound between the Veterans and Cherry Hill Road, and an accident on the right shoulder eastbound right at I-55. You've got an accident on Route 53 as you travel between the Jade Adams Toll Road, I-90, and Beesterfield. On the Reagan, you've got an accident, a left lane block eastbound between Naperville Road to right near the accident site near the Veterans, I-355. Quick check of the Dan Ryan coming inbound. Lots of stop and go, especially between the Bishop Ford 57 split and the Skyway, and 35 minutes in climbing into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. But first, your official Chicagoland weather forecast, a service of Advanced Design Studio. Thinking of a home renovation, not sure where to begin? Check out Common Sense Remodeling with Advanced Design Studio online, advanceddesignstudio.com. Here's Steve Williams.
Today, considerable cloudiness and showers, high at 68. Partly cloudy, shower and spots for tonight, end of those 60. And then sun and clouds tomorrow, the high 82. Sun and some clouds on Thursday, the high 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
60 degrees at O'Hare. Next news, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Health Quest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I want to go back to that Bill Gurley speech about agency capture, the presentation he did for the All In podcast. We talked a bit about earlier in the program. I wonder if our next guest, C.S. Tucker, who knows everything about health insurance in America, I wonder if he knows this story. This is a great one. We told you the one about the antigen tests. Well, he did. We brought that to you. Bill Gurley, this billionaire venture capitalist out of California, Silicon Valley. Here's another one he tells. Right. Regulatory capture. Regulation to protect industry incumbents, not to increase competition for the benefit of the consumer. They're not protecting you. They're protecting the interests that finance them. The story plays out over and over and over again, so get with it for people who don't understand this dynamic. The story of Epic Medical HR software and how Obamacare was so beneficial to Epic, which is actually a Wisconsin-based company. Listen to the story as brought to you by Bill Gurley.
That is the largest player in medical EHR software, medical records, and this is their CEO, Judith Faulkner. Now, get the year right, 2009, Obama put her on his Health IT Council. She was the only corporate representative. Should not surprise you that she's a major donor to Obama. Now, Obama passed the American Recovery Act. That was his big piece of stimulus, kind of like Biden's Inflation Act that happened recently. And tucked underneath that, easy to hide in this big bill, is an act that was, the acronym's high-tech. It's this health information technology thing. And then they created an agency called ONC that oversaw it. Now, this is the part you're not going to believe. They came up with a brilliant idea. I have to assume she helped encourage this. Doctors would receive $44,000 each if they bought software. $38 billion. This is true. You can look it up. I'm not making it up. $44,000, give it to a doctor, implement some software. So many of you run companies, that'd be pretty cool, right? The government passed a law. If they buy your software, they get money. Make it a lot easier. Now, you may be thinking, are doctors needy? But here's the catch. You remember, this happened because of the mortgage meltdown. Doctors own multiple homes, so they have multiple mortgages. So they, they probably needed the assistant.
Yeah.
Now, there's two more things about this act that are also unbelievable. First, there's a flaw. If someone said, I'm going to pay people to buy software, most people would be like, well, you're going to have a problem. They're going to buy it, and they're not going to use it, right? Well, they thought of that. So guess what? The second phase, doctors got paid $17,000 more to prove they were using it. This is called meaningful use. It's plastered all over the website of all the HR vendors at the time. It gets even better. So the ONC decided the threshold of features you would need for your software to comply with this mandate. And I'm assuming they kind of took Epic's feature set and plowed it into this spreadsheet. But they got the Department of Justice to enforce people that didn't have the feature set that were getting the payments. And you had 3 record fines, $155 million, $57 million, $145 million against the lesser competitors of Epic. Unreal. If you've studied the innovator's dilemma, the way startups disrupt is they come in with lower feature products, but a feature that really matters to the customer and a simpler product, and they move up. They put a brick wall there, so you couldn't come up. It's just amazing. Obama, in an interview with Ezra Klein, said this was the most disappointing part of Obamacare. I mean, I think if any of us were in the room when they scratched this thing out, I could have told them it would have failed. I mean, paying people to do stuff is just, it's not going to work. Now, you may ask, am I unhappy with Judith? I'm disgusted with it. But if I were a judge in the Olympic regulatory capture competition, I'm giving her a 10.
And that's how it works. And by the way, Obama's disappointed. That was the thing most disappointing about Obamacare. The whole thing was agency capture, was regulatory capture. That's the whole thing. That's not a bug. That's a feature. Mandate it, subsidize it, penalize those who don't follow it, and protect the incumbents. Protect the selected incumbent. In this case, Epic HR software out of Wisconsin. What a great story. So telling. I don't think people have enough of appreciation about how regulatory capture works, how ubiquitous it is. They buy the propaganda, going after big guys to protect the little guy when they're doing exactly the opposite. 180 degrees. For more on that industry in particular, please be joined by C.S. Tucker, founder, principal broker, healthinsurancementors.com. C. Stephen Tucker, thanks for joining us. Did you know that story about Epic?
That's a new one for me. I am aware of the mandate where you had to switch, everyone had to switch medical providers from ICD-9 codes to ICD-10 codes at their cost, of course. And if you ever want to upset a physician, ask him if he's received his meaningful use reimbursement check this month.
Oh, interesting.
Under the accountable care organizations that were set up, of which Advocate is the largest in Chicagoland. They're part of an ACO as well. Most of the pioneer ACOs that were introduced under Obamacare back in 2014, most of them have gone bankrupt now. But we got one here, and that's Advocate. So
well, but the larger fallout from this too, like in every other sector, is that did Obamacare increase competition, bring more entrants into market? No, it consolidated the healthcare insurance industry, of course.
Of course, we've lost 170 health insurance companies in this country since 2014. We've lost 20 of them from the state of Illinois. We, in fact, now are one of the lucky states, it's probably the only reason to be lucky to live in Illinois, is that we're one of half the states in our union that has a national PPO plan in the individual marketplace with Blue Cross Blue Shield, which you can use at major hospitals like MD Anderson, Barnes-Jewish, Mayo Clinic, Northwestern, etc. But the other half of the country only has HMOs. And as you may already know, HMOs should be avoided like the plague as long as there are PPOs available. If for no other reason, they were designed by Slick Willie and crooked Hillary Clinton, which would be the main reason never to buy an HMO. But this administration is currently doing another thing to protect their sweetheart deals under Obamacare, and that is they are attempting, under the Biden regime, to wipe out non-Obamacare health insurance policies, formerly known as short-term policies. If you remember, back in 2017, the Jobs and Tax Cut Act under President Trump, he came into office and knew a little bit about healthcare policy since he had 535 companies, 35,000 employees. And he asked, why is it that those who are healthy cannot buy short-term health insurance, which is major medical health insurance, extremely comprehensive, unlike our friends on the left who say that it's junk plans. They are not junk plans. But anyway, so he said, why is it that you can only buy these policies for 6 months, or in some states, 3 months? Well, why is that? And the reason that was is because Barack Obama realized that that was impinging on Obamacare, because these plans are half the price of Obamacare plans. And they do not carry $9,000 per person out-of-pocket risk exposures. They are 100% plans. You can buy a $2,500 deductible, 100% coverage afterward, and they include national PPO coverage. And so after he passed this law, if you remember, I was called down to Springfield to testify to try to stop the legislators from limiting short-term policies from 12 months, as we enjoyed them under Bruce Rauner, down to 6 months, making them effectively useless and dangerous to use. And of course, they ignored me. But rationally led states, there are 27 of them currently, adopted the expansion of short-term policies under President Trump, allowing people to keep them for 12 months, 24 months, or even 36 months in a row with no rate increase the entire 3 years. And so in 27 states, you can currently do that. But of course, the Biden regime is seeking to kill that. And they're trying to kill it as soon as possible. And so all of those people.
Why?
Because it impinges upon Obamacare enrollment. Why would someone buy an HMO in one of the half the states that only offer HMOs, which restricts their choices at the best hospitals, and spend twice the amount of money if they can buy non-Obamacare coverage, short-term health insurance from companies like United Healthcare, you know, the largest health insurer in America, at half the price? Why would they do that unless they were forced to do that, unless that option was taken away from them? And that is precisely what the Biden administration is attempting to do right now as we speak.
I want to tell this story to get your reaction. This is like a story of how messed up the industry is because, of course, government is the primary mover. A friend of mine here in Chicagoland, he has an accident, cuts his arm, needs 25 stitches. Ultimately, he finds, nobody knows what that costs. He's asked, but ultimately, which is the first problem. But
he didn't have to take an ambulance, did he? Did he drive himself to the hospital?
Yes, no ambulance. $2,500. He's got a primary and he's got a secondary insurance. Primary insurance picks up all but $216. So he owes $216 on the $2,500 bill. Then he's
$226.
He owes $216 on the $2,500 bill. That's his portion, right? Then he submits all the information to his supplemental insurance, and he gets a check for $770.
What?
So he made $500 on getting 25 stitches. And then, of course, he took the $500 and he went to a massage parlor. But the last part is not relevant. The relevant, what's relevant
massage the stitches.
Is he is gonna start cutting himself in places of his body where he can do just sort of superficial wounds as a side hustle to make some money from his insurance companies. But I mean, seriously, he owes $216. Now, obviously, the supplemental and the primary. I mean, they have they've got a full view of all of this, and he gets a $770 check from the supplemental minus the $216 that he had to pay out of pocket from the primary, so he makes, the $554. What? How does that make sense?
Well, one slight correction. It's $226. So that is the Part B
$226.
deductible.
Okay. All right.
That is all that one is responsible for when they have Medicare Supplement Plan G. So it just makes Medicare incredible, right? But there are also other things that can happen, as you mentioned, where there's overpayment and the patient is reimbursed.
But I don't think this is Medicare, because he's
this is Medicare.
Oh,
this is Medicare.
This is Medicare.
There's only one type of health insurance in the world where your total out-of-pocket expense for all medical claims is capped at $226, and that is Medicare with Medicare Supplement Plan G. And people, when they age to 65, they cannot believe it, Dan. I have people who are doing whatever they can to age as quickly as they can to get to age 65 because they are coming.
Mike Scott is raising his hand in our newsroom. Yeah.
Right. They're coming from Obamacare, where they each have a $9,000 risk exposure, regardless of the size of the deductible, by the way. And they're moving to Medicare, where it costs them roughly $300 a month for everything. And their total out-of-pocket cost for all medical claims is $226. And if they cut themselves the right way, they might get a bonus check. So it's just incredible.
And of course, he called around to try to find out how much it costs to remove stitches, and no one could give him that number either. Nobody knows what prices are.
Absolutely not. I mean, this is another problem. So we wiped out the beautiful idea of health savings accounts, where you had an impetus to ask about price because you were putting in tax-free dollars into a health savings account, and the less you spend, the more you keep for retirement, right? So you had an impetus to ask, what does a colonoscopy cost? What does this procedure cost? Now, all they want to know is, who's your health insurance? Who's your carrier? Let me see your card. That's it. So there's no price transparency, which is the problem. This is one of the reasons these costs keep going up and up and up. And the Biden administration is spending $60 billion to increase federal subsidies to families making $300,000 a year now. It's just remarkable.
We were talking offline, you and me, about this piece that I had referenced last week that was co-authored by John Goodman, who's a healthcare policy commentator, and apparently you have differences of opinion. But he essentially argued in this piece in the Journal that that under Obamacare, which was supposed to make health insurance available to people with pre-existing conditions, the actual result, this is what he literally said, the actual result has been the opposite. Obamacare makes health insurance as good as possible for the healthy and as bad as possible for the sick. And then he went through sort of an example of this out of Texas. And you contacted me because you listened to the show because you're intelligent, and said that what Goodman said is not exactly the case. So explain for us. Is Obamacare doing that or not, making insurance good for the healthy and bad for the sick?
No.
It's not.
No, I mean this is just nonsense. I don't blame John Goodman. I blame Beverly Gossage, his co-author, who's a Kansas state rep who happens to hold an insurance license. But whoever did the research, and I don't know who's editing the Wall Street Journal pieces anymore, but this is completely untrue. He states erroneously in the article, this is his quote, patients with serious disease often require the care of highly trained specialists who usually work at centers of excellence, but the family in Dallas, Texas will discover that their Blue Cross plan isn't accepted at leading cancer providers nearby, including Baylor University Medical Center and University of Texas Health Science Center. Listen, the Blue Cross policies are accepted at Baylor University Medical Center. Not only are the Blue Cross policies on the Health Insurance Exchange accepted at Baylor University Medical Center, but Baylor University Medical Center has their own series of health plans called the Scott and White Health Plans, which are, of course, accepted at Baylor because they designed those health insurance policies, because Scott and White Healthcare merged with Baylor University in 2013. In addition to that, Veterans plans are accepted at Baylor. Now, he could say, well, the University of Texas Health Science Center is not accepted by Blue Cross. That's true. Do you know why? Because Oscar Health Plans cut the contract with Baylor, so Blue Cross, they don't even have to include the Texas Health Science Center because Oscar got that contract with the Texas Health Science Center. And another thing that's extremely disingenuous is he chose $70,000 as their adjusted gross income. $700 less than that, and they qualify for CSR. which is the magical second federal subsidy, which reduces deductibles and out-of-pocket expenses. So if they go $700 less on their income, which, by the way, who wouldn't do that? You take $700, you put it into a tax-deferred account, now your AGI is $69,300 instead of $70,000. Now you've got a zero deductible, and your out-of-pocket is not $9,000; it's $7,250. So the whole premise of the article, if we're going to attack Obamacare and we're going to provide an alternative to it, we must argue the case on the merits. We cannot come out with pieces like this where it's just completely. And then the most egregious statement made in his piece is that, quote, Obamacare plans have very skinny networks in every state. They tend to pay providers Medicaid rates or close to them. That is poppycock. Medicaid reimbursement rates are 78% lower than Medicare reimbursement rates, and private insurers, like those sold on the health insurance exchanges, like Blue Cross, and Oscar and Ambetter, they pay hospitals and medical providers double what Medicare reimbursement rates, which is an average of 143% above the Medicare reimbursement rate, to as high as 199% above. So to state these things in an article as an argument against Obamacare is it's a futile effort, and it makes us look bad. So I have to address it publicly because it's just an awful.
Well, then, so then, I mean, as you review what Obamacare has wrought over the last 15 years or so, then what is your main gripe with Obamacare?
It's cost. Okay, understand that right now, today, if the Biden administration had not passed the American Rescue Plan and the Inflation Reduction Act, which did not reduce inflation, but what it did do is it took a family who in March of 2021, if they made $68,960, a couple, no children, okay, $68,960, they would qualify for no federal health insurance subsidy and would have to pay the shockingly high actual premium for a bronze plan, which is much higher, 260% higher than it was in 2013 before these changes opened, okay? What the Biden administration did was they passed the American Rescue Plan, and then they solidified the subsidy cliff increase under the IRA. So that same couple now can make $240,000 a year and qualify for massive federal health insurance subsidies. And if they have children, they can make $340,000 a year and qualify for massive federal health insurance subsidies. So all that's going on right now is no one is addressing the cost of healthcare or health insurance. They're simply printing money and handing it to insurance companies and calling themselves heroes.
C.S. Tucker, founder and principal broker for healthinsurancementors.com. C.S., always appreciate your expertise and clarity. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
All right. Thanks so much. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll see if we can help the Biden administration locate that F-35 that's gone missing at 8:38.
And later, new information about our Freedom Summit Chicago event. Yes, tickets are on sale now. Who's there? Who's going to be speaking? We'll tell you coming up. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
8:32, clouds and rain, 59 degrees. The president preparing to address the United Nations. He will do so at 9 a.m. The White House says the president will reiterate U.S. support for Ukraine. The Marine Corps is suspending flights for 2 days after an F-35 stealth jet disappeared for hours when a pilot ejected over South Carolina Sunday. Debris has been found. 5 Americans imprisoned in Iran are back on U.S. soil, having touched down this morning in Virginia.
The funds that were released are going to be used for humanitarian purposes. The U.S. will have complete insight on how those funds are being used.
That's U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas-Greenfield. 3 badly hurt following a wrong-way crash on Lakeshore Drive here in Chicago. A Ford Expedition was struck by a Honda sedan traveling in the wrong direction early this morning in the 3000 block of South Lakeshore Drive. An investigation continues after a family of 4 was found dead in Romeoville. The discovery was made after members of a family didn't show up for work, and the authorities are investigating the deaths as a murder. Police say a suspect who led Bolingbrook officers on a brief manhunt following a deadly shooting Monday have been taken into custody, and All the school lockdowns in the area imposed yesterday have been lifted for this morning. Chicago could soon abolish a sub-minimum wage for tipped workers. Mayor Brandon Johnson and the Illinois Restaurant Association have agreed to a plan to phase out the lower minimum wage for tipped workers over the next 5 years. And authorities continue investigating after a small plane landed on I-80 in LaSalle County Monday afternoon. Troopers say it's unclear what led to the crash. State police say there were no injuries. The news, a service of Pfizer and Pfizer and RSV, which can be a dangerous respiratory virus if you are 60 or older. Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. And a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka wants to know who these people are.
The Wall Street Journal said that of current voters, 46% would support President Trump today in an election, and 46% would support Joe Biden. Who on God's green earth is that 46% who's going to support Joe Biden? Are you mental patients? Is this one flew over the cuckoo's nest? Who are you?
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Life isn't always fair. The truth is, fires, floods, tornadoes, hail, or just plain bad things happening to over 1 million homeowners annually. You could be one of them. You may not need Paul Davis Restoration Services today, but rest assured that now you've got a guy for full-service residential, commercial, emergency cleanup, and restoration for disasters of all sizes. Whether you face a business or residential catastrophe, Paul Davis Restoration is ready to help you from the instant the fire is out, the tornado has passed through, or the floodwaters have receded. My friend Gary Moss and his team at Paul Davis Restoration have 25,000 square foot warehouse within minutes of the Chicago Loop. And they can pack out, clean, restore your items and return them to you in record time. Visit Paul Davis Restoration online at pauldavисchicago.com or call 773-883-8000. That's 773-883-8000 or online at pauldavисchicago.com.
Are you a driver of a Ford PowerStroke diesel engine? Tired of taking your Ford PowerStroke diesel in to be misdiagnosed or paying for repairs that don't fix the problem? Well, bring your vehicle to the diesel headquarters, Remke's Garage. The shop is equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment and highly trained technicians. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's Garage. Remke's Garage specializes in Ford PowerStroke, Chevy Duramax, Dodge Cummins, Mercedes Sprinter, and Isuzu diesel engines and transmission repairs. At Remke's, they'll make your vehicle repairs convenient by offering a free commercial loaner vehicle.
Remke's Garage, where you won't spend $1,000 to fix a $100 problem. Call for details and to schedule an appointment at 800-5-REMKES or visit Remke'sGarage.com. Remke's Garage, your diesel headquarters.
Hi, folks. Dennis Prager here. You've probably been hearing my colleagues and me talking about investing with YRefi for a while now. You may have some questions, so let's review. It's true. You can earn up to a 10.25% fixed rate of return that is not correlated to the stock market or the Fed. You can turn your income on or off, compound it, whatever you choose, and there are absolutely no fees. There is no attack on principal if you ever need your money back, and you'll get your monthly statement with no surprises. Just go to investYRefi.com. That's invest, the letter Y, then refi, REFY.com. Or call 888-YRefi24. Folks, this is a solid investment that actually helps people. Just go to investYRefi.com or call 888-YRefi24 and tell them Dennis Prager sent you.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago. Ensure your legacy lives on. Set your final wishes in place. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org.
It is 8:38. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Kennedy, an hour and 27 minutes from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike inbound is an hour in from Mannheim to the old post office. and 85 in from Route 390. Stevenson is a mess as well. It is an hour 20 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Inbound Dan Ryan, accident right at 87th, and then another accident left shoulder inbound at 47th, 41 and climbing from 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Delays as you travel on Route 53 inbound between the Jane Addams and Biesterfield. Report of an accident. I-80 an accident as you travel eastbound right at I-55. You're backed up to the Minooka interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Clouds and rain showers today, high 68. Clearing overnight, low 60. Warmer, sun and clouds, 82 tomorrow. 60 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Trump's sit down with that D.C. press corps apparatchik, Kristen Welker, meet the press on Sunday. Included some discussion of geopolitical matters like Ukraine. Here's what Trump had to say about the ongoing support from America for the war effort to repel the Russians.
I would get him into a room, I'd get Zelensky into a room, then I'd bring them together, and I'd have a deal worked out. I would get a deal worked out. It would have been a lot easier before it started. Essentially, for 4 years, I kept them from doing anything. Because, you know what, I will tell you this, I've never said this, Ukraine was the apple of his eye. I said, don't ever do it, don't ever do it. He would have never done it. But again, oil prices. He wouldn't have done it because of me, but oil prices. The prices were so high that he had so much money, so he had all this money to prosecute the war. The one who drove up the prices was Biden.
Given that President Putin has bombed maternity wards, 20,000 kids kidnapped from Ukraine by Russia, mass graves, do you welcome his support, his all but endorsement?
Look, I had a very good relationship with him, and yet nobody was tougher on Russia than me. I stopped Nord Stream 2. You never heard of Nord Stream 2. That was the pipeline until I got involved. I said Nord Stream 2, people that were sophisticated, military people and political people, never heard of Nord Stream 2. I had it ended. The pipeline was dead. Biden came in and he approved it. There was nobody tougher than me with Russia, and yet I got along with Putin. Let me tell you, I got along with him really well. And that's a good thing, not a bad thing. He's got 1,700 nuclear missiles, and so do we. But look, that's a good thing. Getting along is okay, but I got along through strength.
Welker is trying to prosecute the case still that Trump is some sort of Putin stooge, or they're collaborating together to advance the interests of Russia at the expense of America and her allies. It's really amazing that they continue to prosecute this case, so they get Trump to say something that is perceived as middling, and they can, I guess, can justify their Russian collusion hoax that was perpetrated. So that's where Trump is. Okay. And Biden is at the UN General Assembly today to make the case for continued support of Ukraine. That's central to why he's there. He's certainly not stopping to meet with Eric Adams and talk about migrants, talk about what's happening in this country.
God forbid.
This comment from Sarah Ashton Cirillo. We've presented him, to you before, but he's reasserted himself in the wake of some inquiry about him by J.D. Vance, senator from Ohio. So Sarah Ashton Cirillo is a dude pretending to be a woman from Nevada, and she's the spokeshuman for Ukrainian's territorial forces in Kyiv. And what Trump said, I don't know if you agree with that as the approach that should be taken, getting them in the room and trying to hammer out a deal or not. But that's certainly not the approach that apparently the Zelensky regime is taking, per one of their spokeshumans, a man pretending to be a woman from Nevada. Are you following all this? I know, it's a bit challenging. Listen to what she said. He said. He, Sarah. Sorry, you see the name and you fall back into the bad old days of 5 minutes ago when if you saw a name Sarah, you would refer to that person as a her. But that's not the case today.
There has been much discussion recently related to my role within the armed forces of Ukraine. Before answering some of the questions put forward by Senator Vance of Ohio, I'd like to thank all those in the U.S. who are supporting the Ukrainian people. Without Republicans and Democrats working together on behalf of Ukraine, our growing and unstoppable success on the battlefield, and the inevitable victory it will bring over the Russian invaders would take significantly longer. The delivery of ATACMS will further expedite our victory while saving lives and tax dollars in the process. America is once more showing why it's history's greatest republic and the world's lone superpower, and all of us in Ukraine are humbled by the support we're receiving from the American people. Let me also take a moment in my role as spokesperson for the AFU's Territorial Defense Forces to state unequivocally that we in the TDF and across Ukraine believe journalists are heroes and have the right to report on Ukraine's war for liberation without interference. Free speech is the pillar of all democracy. The First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, along with the rest of that sacred document, is ordained by God. The Russian propagandists and war criminals who are spreading lies and pushing false narratives are not journalists. They are information agents and an extension of the Putin-Prigozhin effort to spread chaos and wreak havoc across the globe. In Ukraine, we do not seek vengeance, only justice. Because of this, these enemies of freedom and democracy will have to answer for their crimes in a court of law.
I'm a bit confused. Can you be a little bit more specific about these alleged Russian propagandists? Who does that include? By the way, journalists are heroes, First Amendment, bedrock, foundational document, ordained by God, blah. So only journalists have the right to free speech? But you're a propagandist, actually, starting with the fact that you're
what is
telling us that you're a woman.
Is this clown world here?
But I mean, did you catch
This is a
Russian
disgrace to the
Russian
US.
propagandists are going to have to answer in a court of law? Well, even if she's referring to actual Russian propagandists, Putin stooges, or somebody that's pro-Putin, you in the one breath say First Amendment, right to free speech, cornerstone of any free society. The other hand, you're going to prosecute people who disagree with you about the rightful territorial boundaries between Russia and Ukraine, about who Putin is or he is not, about who Zelensky is or is not. And that's an American in service of Ukraine lecturing us about America and democracy. What?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636, type in DA, then a quick comment.
This has sort of all of the hallmarks, if you will allow me to use the phrase the deep state likes to use, all the hallmarks of a disinformation campaign. So anybody who's not a full-throated cheerleader for blank checks to Ukraine is a Russian propagandist, is a Putin stooge. This is sort of like every Trump voter is an insurrectionist sort of catch-all, isn't it? I mean, I am happy, as I've done since his arrival on the scene, to speak with moral clarity about Putin being this murderous dictator that he is. There's no support there, but but is for example, is University of Chicago international relations professor is John Mearsheimer? Is he a Russian propagandist? Because he doesn't buy what you're saying about the inevitable victory of Ukraine in this war? Who are the Russian propagandists and who are the freedom fighters? These terms get thrown around a lot. I'd like a little bit more definition from the spokeshuman for the Ukrainian territorial forces in Kyiv.
And how did she get that job? I mean, a transgender former U.S. soldier who goes by Sarah now moved to Ukraine and became the English-speaking spokesperson for the Ukrainian military?
I guess Chelsea Manning was unavailable. I mean, it's bewildering. And by the way, he wants you to know, Sarah Ashton Cirillo wants you to know that, hey, this whole thing, this has nothing to do with gender politics, okay? We're not playing that game here. Just as General Milley, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, wants you to know that the military is not woke, even though he says he doesn't know what that word means. Very persuasive. Here's
Senator Vance recently asked the U.S. Director of National Intelligence, along with the Secretaries of State and Defense, if I was working in some capacity for the American government. Simply put, I'm an American serving as a Ukrainian infantry soldier and combat medic who was brought from the zero line and assigned to the TDF's media team in the dual role of spokesperson and Russian disinformation analyst. The remaining speculation surrounding me is disappointing. While in Ukraine we are fighting for global liberty and the ideology of victory, too many in Moscow and across the world are still caught up in focusing on the tired trope of gender chaos. Ukraine is a nation that embraces individual liberty and maintains a devotion to God. The freedom that Ukraine is fighting for is not based on carving out privilege for some, but creating a pathway of prosperity and success founded in hard work and the rule of law for all. Neither I nor any Ukrainian is fighting for tolerance and acceptance for any one group, but for the freedom of every human. This freedom is one that most closely resembles the heroic efforts of the American patriots in 1775. I've never been more proud to be a U.S. citizen as I am fighting on behalf of the Ukrainian people against the tyranny of Russia and their assorted enablers, all of whom are enemies of the United States. I'll finish by stating unequivocally that I only answer to three groups of people: my Ukrainian commanders, the Ukrainian people, and the American taxpayer.
But can you serve all those masters? Can you serve all those masters? The Ukrainian people and the American taxpayer? Your Ukrainian military commanders and the American taxpayer? Those individuals, groups are forever inexorably aligned? What? Talk about propagandist. She's lucky he's lucky he's an American. Because what he's promoting in Ukraine is somebody like him would be in a court of law. Thankfully, we're not there yet in America. Better get back soon.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
So, first of all, Putin's got to be laughing at us and Ukraine. And also, she's threatening to hunt down those who criticize the country's government. And on a girl level, Get a new wig. Thank you.
All right.
I'm out.
All right. Glad you were able to get that.
Off my chest.
Yeah.
They do make other wigs out there. Okay, I'm just saying.
I don't know. I think almost at some point you just like make it as
comical as possible.
Yeah, it's like,
she achieved that.
It's like a
or he
terrible.
did.
It's like a terrible toupee. It's it's like why don't you just put a chin strap on it? Let's just put all our cards on the table.
Okay.
Why don't we? Maybe she could whip that out. Never mind. Northridge Prep, great place to be a boy. Unlike what does that mean exactly? In short, it's thanks to a foundation of an all-boys environment that builds your son up into a man of intellect and character who loves God. The teachers and faculty members become mentors to students, and when you combine that with an atmosphere that's fun, competitive, and challenging, it creates an exceptional experience for your son. The result is that boys love Northridge Prep. They've been educating young men for 50 years, nearly 50 years, and one of the things that stands out is their commitment to partnering with parents. You hear this a lot with schools, but at Northridge, it's real. The parents acknowledge it. They can't stop talking about it because they like that their authority is respected. And the school has built a community that really works together. Raising kids is not easy, and at Northridge, you can be confident your son is on the right path. They're having an open house on Sunday, October 22nd for boys grades 6 through 12. Register today at northridgeprep.org. Again, that's Sunday, October 22nd for the open house, and you can register at northridgeprep.org.
Attention taxpayers, ready for some bad news? With $80 billion in new funding from Congress, the IRS has launched their most aggressive hiring campaign ever to ramp up enforcement. If you're ignoring your taxes, don't delay another minute because your paycheck, your bank account, even your home or business could already be at risk. Now, here's the good news. Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm, can get to work immediately, helping to protect you from the IRS. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, their tax attorneys and licensed professionals are experts at resolving tax problems. Let them help determine if you qualify for the Fresh Start Initiative or other powerful IRS tax assistance programs. Take control. Call Optima Tax Relief now for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
If you want to remodel your home, there's the easy way or the frustrating way. Rick here from Forever Remodeling, and the frustrating way is how most people remodel their homes. They hire an architect and an interior designer and a builder separately. But when multiple companies work on your job, communication is a mess. Costs balloon beyond budget, and no one takes accountability if an issue pops up. Don't be like most homeowners. Choose the easy way, the Forever Remodeling way. We handle your entire remodel in-house, your blueprints, design, and construction. When every expert is under one roof, you get clear communication, total accountability, and a stunning one-time on-budget final result. Want to remodel your kitchen or bathroom, finish your basement, build an addition? Choose the easy way. Choose the Forever Remodeling way. For a free consultation, call 847-809-3355 or visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number foreverremodeling.com.
Hey there, Charlie Kirk here. You've probably been hearing my colleagues and I talk about investing with Why Refi for a while now. You may have some questions, so let's review. It's true, you can earn up to 10.25% fixed rate of return that's not correlated to the stock market or the Fed. You could turn your income on or off, compound it whatever you choose, and there are absolutely no fees. There's no attack on principal if you ever need your money back, and you'll get your monthly statement with no surprises. Just go to investwhyrefi.com. That's invest the letter Y and then REFY.com, or call 888-YREFY24. Folks, this is a solid investment that actually helps people. Just go to investwhyrefi.com. That's invest the letter Y and then REFY.com, or call 888-YREFY24 and tell them that Charlie Kirk sent you. So call 888-YREFY24. Solid investment. It really helps people. Call 888-YREFY24 and tell them that Charlie Kirk sent you.
When you're serious about your concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available.
I'm Sergeant Gary Carr, police firearms trainer and the owner of Illinois Concealed Carry Training. We'll arm you with what really counts, knowledge and training. All concealed carry curriculums are not created equal. This may be the single most important decision you'll ever make for yourself and your loved ones. Choose between 3 and 16-hour classes that are available both weekdays and weekends. We are your one-stop for concealed carry classes, fingerprints, and legal defense plans.
Register for a class today and get 10% off class fees with promo code AM560. Visit IllinoisConcealedCarry.com. That's IllinoisConcealedCarry.com.
AM560, The Answer.
All right, real quick. We have our lineup in place for Freedom Summit Chicago. And I just picked it up. All right, we have Senator Rand Paul here and Judge Jeannie Carrero from Fox News. It's going to be a full day of keynote speeches, book signings, breakouts. Janine Pirro.
You love the 5 so much.
I love the Pirro.
Name.
Janine Pirro. I love her, though. I watch that religiously. She'll be here, so will Senator Rand Paul and others. So please join us Saturday, November 11th at the Westin in Itasca. Go to freedomsummitchicago.com to buy your tickets now. This event sells out every year. freedomsummitchicago.com. It's now 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
A jailed American back in court in Moscow. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. A short time after, 5 Americans freed in a prisoner swap with Iran landed back in the U.S.
Amazing. It's amazing. Unfreaking believable. We're so grateful to be together after 8 years.
Seamak Namazi and the others got big hugs from loved ones, while Evan Gershkovich was all alone inside a glass cage at a Russian courtroom. The Wall Street Journal reporter is appealing his arrest as an accused spy.
U.S. Ambassador to Russia Lynn Tracy was at the hearing.
Evan is fully aware of the gravity of his situation, yet he remains remarkably strong.
The Wall Street Journal reporter was detained in March on charges that carry up to 20 years in prison. He and his employer say he was only doing his job as a journalist.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. In a few minutes, President Biden's expected to lash out against Russia, addressing world leaders at the UN General Assembly, where the invasion of Ukraine's a big topic. UN leader Antonio Guterres just said,
"The war, in violation of the United Nations Charter and international law, has unleashed the nexus of horror. Lives destroyed, human rights abused, families torn apart, children traumatized."
Now, President Biden's also expected to talk up more global efforts to mitigate climate change, and he may talk about Iran as Republicans criticize terms of the prisoner swap. Congressman John James just told Fox,
I can't even imagine what was going through his head when he sent $6 billion to the Iranians, unfreezing their assets on the anniversary of 9/11. He's going to be speaking less than 4 miles from where the towers fell.
The House Republicans also keep investigating the president and his alleged role, which he denies, in his son Hunter Biden's business dealings overseas. Committees are investigating in an impeachment inquiry, and Fox has learned the Oversight Committee plans to hold its first impeachment hearing next Thursday. America's listening to Fox News.
Clouds and rain showers, 61